If you want to crack Azure data engineering interviews in 2025, then you have to master this area. And I'm talking about Azure data warehousing. That means you need to master conceptual knowledge plus the practical implementation using all the data warehousing solutions available in Azure. And trust me, this knowledge is very limited. So that is why I have created this 4 hours long video in which you will learn all the data warehousing fundamentals, including ETL versus ELT, different layers of medallion architecture, incremental loading, and after covering these fundamentals, you will actually learn all the Azure data warehousing solutions, including Azure Synapse Analytics, build end-to-end pipelines using integrated pipelines, data flows for transforming your data, creating external tables on top of your files using Openrowset Function for big data analytics, and finally, you will be building a dimensional data model, aka star schema in gold layer. But why you should watch this video? Because this video is the best fusion of your conceptual and fundamental knowledge with the right implementation using Azure services. So if you want to become an outlier in the crowd and want to outperform in the interviews, simply get started with this video and I'll see you there. What's up, my data fam? Happy Sunday, first of all. And I know you're really excited for this video because this is the hottest topic right now in our domain in data engineering. Data warehousing is like the most crucial pillar of the whole data engineering industry, of the whole data engineering domain. And we have so many data engineering tools, we have so many orchestration tools, we have so many data processing tools, but it's very important to master data warehousing, because data warehousing is not just about tools. Data warehousing is about tools plus concepts, tools plus fundamentals, and tools plus your knowledge, how you can just provide the gold layer or slash curated layer, because obviously we are just working with the medallion architecture. Medallion architecture is nothing but just like the 3 layers, bronze, silver, gold, in which it's a common practice, we just try to create a data warehouse and serve the data warehouse through gold layer. So today in this video we're gonna master data warehousing. But what's so special in this video? Because we know that every single organization is currently looking for Azure developers. So I thought let's try to uncover this crucial topic, because obviously we're just talking about data engineering a lot, but what about data warehousing? How we can just use data warehousing tools? What are those tools available in Azure? Along with that, what are the fundamentals that we need to know? Every single thing will be answered today. And this video I have designed in such a way that will obviously cover the fundamentals. If you have zero knowledge, no worries at all. This is my crazy ball. So if you have zero knowledge in Azure, no worries at all, because this video will be covered from scratch. Plus, if you do not have any data warehousing concepts, no worries, because that is the motive, that is the intent behind this video, to make you understand the data warehousing concepts along with cloud. Because when you just understand data warehousing, I have already created one video on data warehousing that is like just pure data warehousing without any cloud, without anything. But I thought like, okay, even if you understand data warehousing, it's my duty, because I was getting like a lot of messages like you should just tell data warehousing from your point of view, because at the end of the day you need to use one technology, right, to build those data warehouses, to build the data model. So I thought, okay, this is the best time to talk about Azure data warehousing. And don't worry, we're gonna learn everything that revolves around data warehousing, like all the stuff, all the fundamentals. And the best thing is, we're gonna actually practically see all those concepts: incremental loading, your ETL flows, transformations, your staging layer, core layer, and your gold layer, and your data model, fact, dimension, everything. That is the best thing about this video. And we will actually build the end-to-end flows. We will actually build the data model, and yes, everything from scratch. So buckle up, because this video is really important for you. And I know you have already wished for this video, and this video is just in front of you. So if you want to become an efficient data engineer, you should just know all the things about data warehousing. Okay. Plus, if you are new to this field, then let me just tell you if you are unaware of this. Data warehousing is the most important pillar in the world of data engineering. The most. Trust me. There are, like, I know, thousands of tools available, but data warehousing is that particular thing which will be available in every tool, in which every tool is focusing on data warehousing. Either it can be Databricks, Azure, AWS, GCP, everything. Every tool is focusing on making their data warehouses performant. Okay, they are just making their data warehouses to use lesser computation resources. They are just using technologies such as query caching and all. Every organization is focusing on enhancing the capabilities of data warehousing solutions. Why? Because at the end of the day, you need to serve your data model, and you just serve it through data warehouse. Okay, to all your stakeholders, data analysts, business analysts, data scientists, anyone. Okay, very, very, very good. And by the way, what are the prerequisites for this video? As I just mentioned, this video will be covering everything from scratch. So no prerequisite, just focus. Okay. So now you will be asking, hey, we do not have any Azure account. Don't worry, we will be creating a free Azure account and free resources, and we'll be creating all the data warehouse resources, and don't worry, all those are also free. So without delaying, let's actually get started with the video. And if you have not taken out your notebooks, just grab the notebook right now with a pen or a highlighter, because you need to take the notes. Otherwise, I don't know how you're gonna just remember all the things. If you are a superhuman, okay, then I cannot comment, but I know you are not. So just take out your notebook and just start taking notes. And whatever I'm saying, just try to make a note if it is important, because obviously you want to learn so many things. You will be just developing so many things in Azure. So obviously you cannot take notes for everything, but you should take notes for those things which are, like, you can say, important areas, and which you think like you can forget easily, okay, or which will be very easier to revise. Because when you just sit in the interviews, you need a quick resource to just brush up all the skills. You cannot go through like 500 pages of PDF, 600 pages of documentation. No, you need a quick brief introduction of everything. And if you are writing in your own language, it is very easy to revise, bro. Trust me. Okay. Now let's start with this video. First of all, we are just talking about Azure Data Warehouse. Or even before talking about Azure Data Warehouse, let's talk about what is a cloud data warehouse. Because obviously Azure is one of the clouds. Okay. AWS is another very popular cloud. GCP is another popular cloud. Yeah, we're gonna cover Azure Cloud Data Warehouse today, but let's first talk about what is a cloud data warehouse. So basically, even before talking about cloud data warehouse, let's first see what is a data warehouse. So basically, data warehouse acts as the central repository of the organization. That means whatever data organization is dealing with, that data needs to be stored in a data warehouse, no matter how the data looks like and what are the features. No excuses. Every data should be available in the data warehouse. Why? Because data warehouse is the source of truth, or let's say you can say source for all the reportings, source for all the data usage within the industry. Okay. And obviously, if you're working in an organization, it is the source of data for your whole organization. They cannot use any data without data warehouse. Now you will say, hey, they can simply build the reports on data source. Really? No, they cannot. Because the performance of the data sources will be declining very, very, very soon, the moment they just start pointing the reports to the data source. So they have to rely on the data warehouse. All the reports, all the Power BI dashboards, all the Tableau dashboards, all the Click dashboards, all those reports that business managers or directors use, everything is relying on the data warehouse. Everything. Okay. So this is just the data warehouse. So when we do not talk about cloud data warehouse, when we are just talking about, let's say, on-prem data warehouse. So in that particular scenario, your on-prem, or let's say your machine, oops, your machine, or let's say on-prem, or maybe virtual machine, VM, is actually holding that data. So if you're working in an organization, you would see that companies just use virtual machines because obviously they cannot use the physical laptop, physical machines to store the data, right? That machine can be corrupted, or let's say if you have the machine, you would have all the power, right? And if other people like want to use that data, how they can just use it. So that's why they just create virtual machines so that everyone can connect to the virtual machine and they can just use the data. So when we do not have cloud data warehouse, we actually use something called as on-prem / virtual machines, in which we just store all the data for our data warehouse. And one of the very good examples that we have right now, we can just install SQL Server machine, or let's say SSMS, on these virtual machines, and we can simply say, hey, just store our all the data on this particular virtual machine's SQL Server Management Studio. That's it. And obviously on that machine, we need to install SQL Server. So this is the scenario when we were just working with data warehouse only, not cloud data warehouse, just our data warehouse. That's it. Now you will say, okay, but why we need to just move to cloud then? If everything was working, like going fine, and we had the VMs and everyone was able to actually connect to that particular source and everything was going fine, right? Why do we need to just move to the cloud data warehouse? So the thing is, we need to move to cloud data warehouse when you feel that your data is growing rapidly. Okay. So if you are just building, you can say small data warehouses, you actually do not need a cloud data warehouse. No, you can easily store all those information, all that data. You can easily manage on an on-prem data warehouse, or let's say on-prem SQL Server Management Studio, or any SQL workbench that you are using. Okay. So you can easily manage that. But if your data size is growing rapidly, which is the situation right now in the industry, you need a cloud solution. Why? First of all, there are like many reasons, obviously. So one reason can be, you can say, obviously data size. So means you need a solution which is very cheap to store. So you can say storage, which is very cheap as compared to on-prem. Plus you can say outage, because when we just move to cloud, the data availability becomes more. Why? Because cloud providers ensure that you will get at least, let's say 99.95% availability throughout the year, throughout the month. It totally depends upon the policy that we pick. We have GRS, LRS, GZRS, and so many other policies. That totally depends, but we get high availability. So they just replicate our data to multiple servers. So we get assurance, okay, our data will be live. So they take that responsibility. Who? Cloud providers. Very good. So storage, outage, then performance. So now cloud providers understood this problem. Okay, so their end goal is to just create a data warehouse. So what they did, they just launched their own applications for data warehouses. So they said, hey, you need a SQL server? We said yes. Okay. So they said, we will just provide you the solution and you can actually store your, because at the end you're just storing the data in our cloud storage. We said yes. So they said, we will just provide you the data warehouse storage solution as well, where you can just actually store your data, and on top of it, what you will get? Performance. How? They will just apply, let's say, distributed querying. So this is one of the performance features that we have, distributed querying. So they will say, hey, we will be building applications which will be leveraging something called as distributed computing, in which your data can be processed by multiple machines. So this is like one of the architectures available we have within the cloud data warehouse solutions. So similarly, other cloud providers started replicating the same because they understood the problem. In AWS, we have Redshift. In Google, we have BigQuery. In Azure, we have, that is a surprise, I will just tell you, don't worry. No, nothing, I'm just kidding. So it is called Azure Synapse. It is like end-to-end solution, and it is much more than data warehouse. So that is why I will just talk about it in detail. It is not just a data warehousing solution. It is like end-to-end solution. So I will just talk about it. But yeah, your Redshift and BigQuery is pure data warehousing solution. Snowflake, Databricks is not like pure warehouse. It's a lakehouse. So basically you can just consider it as warehouse, because end goal is just like providing the data to the customers and they can just simply build the reports. Yeah. So if you just want to treat it as a repository, yeah. Databricks, Snowflake, BigQuery, Redshift, everyone started building their data warehouse applications where we can just store our data. Everything is same. Everything is same, just the location is different. Instead of storing your data on on-prem, you are storing the data on the cloud provider storage, and you are using their application to store the data because it is performant. They are taking care of it. It is like PaaS, platform as a service, which means like you do not need to actually manage the upgrades and anything, nothing. Everything will be taken care by them. Plus high availability, high performance, and obviously with every update you will get more and more features. So that is why we understood like, yes, let's move to cloud and let's actually build our data warehouses on cloud. Make sense? Make sense? Because the next thing I will talk about is security. Data is more secured on cloud. Really? Obviously, if your data is on your machine, it is the securest place because you are just owning that machine. But I'm just talking about when you just want to provide the data to multiple users, maybe to multiple organizations. So you can just build firewalls. Obviously, you can just build firewalls as well on your machine, but you need to manage it. But in that case, you do not need to manage it. You can actually allow virtual networks and you can do so many things. And it's not just about security. Let's talk about one more thing, which is very important. If you just want to integrate multiple solutions, if you just want to leverage AWS, Azure, GCP at the same time, Snowflake, Databricks at the same time, then you would have more flexibility to connect to multiple sources and to just provide your data to multiple destinations. Integration is easier. Whereas in your case, you need to just manage all the integration, you need to manage all the connectors, you need to manage everything. So your overhead is taken by them. And it is a proven way because industry is growing rapidly and they are just relying on the solution, and solutions are growing really, really good. In the beginning, not every company was ready to move to cloud because they were just, they were not like feeling confident like whether they should just put their data to the cloud. But with the course of time, they understood the requirements and they said like, okay, let's go to cloud. So this is your cloud data warehouse. And I hope now you know why do we need cloud data warehouse. And now you can feel like cloud data warehouse is not exactly same as your on-prem data warehouse. It's really different. That's why I just decided to create a video on cloud data warehousing. We know that data warehousing is important, and maybe lots of you would already know data warehousing, like some concepts maybe. But cloud data warehousing is almost not like, it's not exactly same. Lots of new things will be there. So that is why I decided to create the video, and don't worry, you will understand everything. Even if you do not know anything, even if you know a lot, you will learn a lot. Trust me. Okay, that's good. Now the best thing is, we need to first of all talk about in this video is, what is the difference between Azure database and data warehouse? Because you know that we have Azure database as well. Like we have a database available in cloud. So why are we not storing our data in the Azure database? Because Azure database is owned by them, right? And you said that you get so many things. So why you are not storing your data in your Azure database? And why you need to create a different resource, which is Synapse Analytics, or let's say any solution, because Synapse Analytics is just a new solution. Earlier it was called as Azure SQL Data Warehouse. So if you do not know, that was the older name of this. Okay, makes sense. What's the reason? Basically, database and data warehouse behave differently. How? Databases are designed in such a way so that they can handle transactions easily, where your data will be written more often. Let's say in every 1 second and every millisecond. So your data writes are more and more frequent than your data warehouse. And the best thing is, transactions will be happening, let's say within milliseconds, maybe deletions, updates, and data reading is not prioritized on this like SQL database or any database, but on data warehouses, data reading is prioritized. So they are built in such a way that they can perform data reading queries efficiently. Because whenever you want to build the reports, your manager will say, hey, I want to see the data and I want to see the sales for the last 1 year right now. So you have to just query all the records, right? And you will be just querying this data here, and you will be actually disrupting other operations such as writes, such as updates, deletes, so many things. But this is built in such a way you can actually run those reading queries, and this system is built in such a way it can handle those big queries. And now is the best thing. You will say, Ansh Lamba, at the end of the day, this is not producing the data on its own, or this is not receiving the data on its own. It is just using this data from here, right? Yes. And that is why we have another slide which says what is cloud data warehousing. So what is cloud data warehousing? We understood cloud data warehouse. What is a data warehouse? Now, what is data warehousing? What is cloud data warehousing? So in cloud data warehousing, the concept is very simple. Just be focused right now. So this is your, let's say, a source. Now the source can be anything. It can be your Azure SQL DB. It can be your normal any SQL DB. It can be maybe, let's say, APIs. It can be, let's say, any on-prem file as well. Maybe sitting in your C drive. Anything. Or let's say some outsider applications, ERP applications such as ERP applications, Dynamics 365, or let's say any application, let's say Dataverse. So we have so many applications. So this data source can contain maybe all, maybe one of these, maybe two of these, maybe three of these. So we do not care. So what we need to do? We need to first of all integrate all these sources. Okay. So what we will do, we will simply first of all fetch this data. We will just put, let's say we need all the data. We need APIs, we need databases, we need enterprise applications, we need Dataverse, we need everything. So you sitting here being a coder, or let's say data engineer, what you will do? You will simply use all this information, all this data, and you will create a data warehouse. Okay, you will create what? A data warehouse, which is a central repository. So now what you will say, do we have a button that we need to click? Hey, create a data warehouse. Do we have something like this? No. So how you just create that? So we have a concept called, which is a very common practice. It's called ETL/ELT. ELT is a new addition, which is, first of all, let me just tell what is ETL, because you will say, hey, you didn't tell us ETL. So ETL is nothing but extract, transform, load. Don't worry, I have a dedicated slide on this as well, but just giving you a quick overview. ETL is extract, transform, load. So this is a practice which we follow in order to build this data warehouse, because you need to extract the data, you need to transform, and then you need to load this data. So now you will say that this data warehouse will be running queries, read queries for big data for, let's say, 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, or for, let's say, for 5 years, for 10 years. And this data is like, this data warehouse is built in such a way that can handle those reading queries. But how it gets the data? We know through ETL, but when we just pull this data, will this database will be affected? That can be a very good question, because obviously we need to query this source. So the answer is, we do not load, or let's say we do not read the data again and again. So what we do, we read the data in batches. Here we are not talking about streaming, so just keep your mouth shut. So we just, because for streaming we have different sources. The source is different, it's not SQL database, okay? So we just load this data in batches. Let's say I want to load this data 3 times a day, 4 times a day, 10 times a day, or let's say every hour. So I will be only running that query just once, or let's say once in, like, 1 hour. Okay, makes sense. And I will be just loading the data in batches, and I will push this data here. Sorted. Once this data is here, when I'll be saying, hey, select, let's say, asterisk, let's say all the data, select asterisk from this data warehouse. So do I need to query this database? Do I need to disturb this database? No, because I will simply query this data warehouse, right? So we just disturb the source, but not very often. We simply load the data in batches, and you will understand like how, because we do not like load all the data again and again. Because I know your question. You can say, hey, Ansh Lamba, let's say we are just loading the data in batches every day, and let's say we are just doing it for like 1 year. So after 1 year, obviously data clutter will be so big. No. Let me just give you a spoiler. We have something called as incremental loading. So don't worry, we will just talk about that as well. No worries. Just grow step by step. Okay. So this is just like the high level overview. Let's go deeper inside the cloud data warehousing now, like how we should work with cloud data warehousing and how we are working right now. Okay. So first of all, I just talked about one thing. It is called ETL, which is extract, transform, load. Very good. What is that? And this is very important topic. You will say, Ansh Lamba, where is ELT? Bro, first understand ETL. You will understand ELT automatically, trust me. So let's talk about ETL. What is ETL? So basically ETL is the foundation of, you can say, data warehousing. Foundation, yes, it is the foundation. Why? Because you as a data warehouse developer, you would have a source. And in this example, just take this as an example. You are dealing with SQL source. Okay, just for an example, you can just work with any source. I will just show you, don't worry. These are just like the fundamentals that you should know before just jumping directly onto the cloud. Okay, and we will just discussing everything. So this is your source, right? So basically in the ETL, which stands for extract, transform and load. Okay, it stands for extract, transform and load. What does it mean? What does it mean? First of all, put some spotlight on extract, which is E. So I just told you that we just pull the data from so many sources. So that is basically your extract step, where you are actually extracting the data from multiple sources. In this scenario, let's say you are just pulling the data from the SQL database, let's say. So you are actually performing the extract step. Let me just write it here, it is your E. Okay, and once you extract the data, okay, just a reminder, you can extract data from multiple sources. Okay, do not feel like, hey, we are just using SQL, but we have just seen people using so many sources. Just block those people, right? Because currently you are running, like learning, so you should not focus on others. So this is your E, which is extract step. When you extract the data, we have 3 layers of ETL, and just remember these 3 layers because this information is limited. Trust me. I know you would have heard of ETL, but it's very important to just hear about these layers as well, inner layers of ETL. So there are 3 layers. Let me just write it here using pink color. So first layer is staging layer. Let's talk about this first. Staging layer is your first layer that you use in your ETL process. What will happen in the staging layer? In the staging layer, you just push the data in as is form, like as it is, just replica of the source, and you just put the data here in the staging layer. Okay, makes sense? Very good. So the moment you put the data in the staging layer, now you have 2 options in the staging, like which kind of stage, like which type of staging layer you want to create. One type is transient, okay, and second is persistent. So these are 2 layers, transient and persistent. Just remember, see, we're just going in deep. So most of the time we prefer creating this one, transient. Transient is like temporary layer, and we will just talk about this in the next slide, don't worry. For now, just like have some understanding, like transient is like temporary, persistent is like the permanent layer. So we are just creating a temporary layer in the staging where we are actually dumping the data in as it is form. Okay, makes sense. Then what do? We have another layer, it's called transform. It's called transform layer. Why I didn't create this layer? Because this layer is optional. Because in some solutions you wouldn't see this layer, in some solution you would see this layer. So it's all up to you. If you want to just you can say save your data of the transformed layer, you can save it, not a big deal. But yeah, in the modern solutions using medallion architecture, we do save it in the silver layer. But I'm just talking about the fundamentals because medallion architecture is really new. So this is the transform layer. What you do in this layer, you simply take this data which is in as it is form and you want to apply some transformations. Makes sense. Let's say you want to just remove some columns. Let's say you want to modify some columns. Let's say you want to add some columns. It's all up to you. You take this data and you just enter in the transform layer and you just do some transformation. Tuck. Now it's up to you. And I'm again repeating, in the modern solutions, we save this data and we just call it as silver layer. So we will save this data. Once this data is transformed, okay, now this data goes to the core layer. And what will happen in this layer? Because our data is already transformed, right? Exactly. In this layer, in the core layer, what will happen? We will simply create a kind of data model. Okay. We create a kind of data model in this particular layer in which we take this data, transform data, and we break that table into, let's say, facts and dimensions. Why? Because data model is always performant in terms of building reports, in terms of using, let's say, joins or let's say relationships between those tables. And it is the best. You will just learn about data modeling as well, don't worry. But this is just like the modeling area where we just model the data. In the current scenario, I have seen lots of companies using one big table approach, and it's all up to you, or maybe it's all up to your organization whether they want to use one big table, because one big table is the common scenario that is already written in the books as well, such as Data Warehousing book by Kimball. So it is just like the hybrid approach and you do not need to worry about that. It's all like the requirements that you get. But this core layer is your modeling area where you just model your data. And this is called data warehouse. This core layer is your data warehouse. Okay. This is your data warehouse. Okay. So once your data warehouse is built, and this data warehouse is built, let's say for your whole organization or let's say for your whole department. Now, what you can do, this is a new term. This is called data mart. These are data mart. So once the data warehouse is built, we simply take this data, like this data warehouse, and we simply filter the records based on the business units. Make sense? Because let's say your finance team wants to use the data. Why the finance team wants to see data for, let's say, HR company or let's say for HR business unit, right? So we simply create a dedicated data warehouse. Data mart is nothing but a subset of data warehouse in which we have just pulled the data for a specific business unit. That's it. This is also a data warehouse, but a smaller version, or let's say subset of the main data warehouse. Okay. And similarly, let's say I want to just create a business unit or let's say data mart for HR department. Make sense? So this is the backbone of data warehousing. These are the layers, and you know, like there are so many layers which are hidden from you, which were hidden, now you know. So these are the things, and just take notes. Next, let's talk about incremental loading and just see the picture, and that's it, because we will not talk about incremental loading right now. And before that, let's jump onto the Azure and let's actually see what are the storage solutions first of all, and along with that, what are the storage you can say data warehousing solutions. What are those solutions that we use to build a data warehouse? So don't worry, you have seen this picture. Very good. It's because we will be just talking about incremental loading later. And now let's go to Azure. Let's build some resources. Then I will give you a quick overview like how we just use the resources and how we need to build all those things. I have already told you the name. It's called Azure Synapse Analytics. Azure Synapse Analytics is a data warehousing solution that we use in Azure, but data warehousing solution is not the right word for Azure Synapse Analytics. Azure Synapse Analytics is like the complete end-to-end solution for data warehousing, end-to-end. That means all these things, your ETL, okay, your ETL, your staging layer, your core layer, your data mart, everything will be taken care by only one solution. So let's say you are using any other cloud, okay, you will use Redshift, let's say, just to store your core layer, just to store your this layer, right, core layer, where your data model is ready, where your data warehouse is ready. But in order to perform ETL, extracting the data, building pipelines, performing incremental loading, you need data orchestration solution, you need a pipeline solution, right? That is also embedded in Azure Synapse Analytics. Now you would need to transform your data. You would say, hey, we can just use Spark and we can just use so many things, right? Exactly. But in Azure Synapse Analytics, that is also embedded. That is why it is an end-to-end solution, including data warehouse. And let me just tell you, data warehousing includes all those things. Data warehouse is nothing just about facts and dimensions. It's about the whole process. It's all about the whole flow. Okay? And in this particular video, don't worry, you will learn everything. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's go to Azure. And even before going there, Ansh, please tell us how we can create our free account. Okay, let me show you how you can also create a free account, and let's actually go there and build something crazy, bro. Let's go there. So in order to create your free Azure account, what you need to do? You first of all need a PhD degree. No. So just go to Google and just type Azure free account. Okay, then hit enter and just click on the first link. And here you go. Just click on this try Azure for free. Basically, Azure is just providing free access to all of us, and it gives you $200 US as well that you can just spend on your girlfriend, boyfriend. No, you cannot spend this money. You can only spend this money on the Azure resources that you use, and that is how it gives you access for free 30 days. It's not actually free. Azure is giving you a kind of credit of $200 that you can spend in 30 days, and 200 USD, that amount is a lot. So by science, it's not free, not by science. Okay, so it's not free, but you are receiving $200 credit that you can use for first 30 days, and that's it. Plus you get free access for, I think, 12 months of lots of services, which are like free for 12 months. And you get the access to a lot of other applications which are always free. So you can simply see the chart, like what do you need, bro? Chat with AI powered assistant, get lost. So try Azure for free and simply click on it, and you will simply land on the page where you need to put your Microsoft account. So here's the thing. If you do not have any Microsoft account, you simply need to create one. What is a Microsoft account? It can be your Gmail account. It can be your Outlook account, but it should be registered under Microsoft. Really? Yeah. So if you do not have one, simply click on create one. Once you have the account, simply put it here. Now click on next. The moment you click on next, you will simply land on a page where you will be asked to complete the form, where you will be prompted to put your details, blah blah blah, and at the end you will simply see a button called submit, or let's say sign up. The moment you click on this button, you will simply be asked to put your details, card details and all. Why it is required? Because Azure is providing you $200, so it needs to confirm that you are a legit person who will be using that amount. Okay, so that is just for the verification purpose. You will not be charged, and after 30 days it will simply nullify your services and you will not be charged. You can trust Microsoft Azure, and yeah, because I also do trust. Really? I don't think so. So just kidding. So simply create your account, and once it is done, now is the thing, you simply need to create another incognito mode tab and simply type portal.azure.com This is the link which will allow you to go into the Azure. So let me just quickly. So here I go. This is my portal account, and I know this can be different from yours because these are some of the Azure services that I would have used right now, maybe in the past. So forget about that. This is just your Azure portal, and if you are really new to Azure, I don't think so you should be new to Azure, but you can. That's not a big deal. So basically, I love the UI of Azure. I like the blue color a lot, and I like this UI a lot. Trust me, like it's so good. Now, obviously this is not an Azure course, like in detail. This is an Azure Synapse analytics for data warehousing, and it is inclined towards that particular. What's that? Okay, so now let's talk about a quick overview. Let me just give you a quick overview of this Azure, not in detail. So first of all, just click on this ribbon, or let's say menu button. So these are basically the services that we have, the popular ones. Okay, load balancers. No, we do not need load balancers. We are not software developers. So basically, the most important for you right now is Azure resource group and Azure all services resources. What is a resource group? Basically, resource group is a kind of folder in which you store all your services or all your resources. Now, what is a resource? So obviously, you'll be creating data lake. That is your resource. We will be creating Azure Synapse Analytics. That is a resource. We will be creating, let's say, Azure Data Factory. That is a resource. So all those services that we use from Azure is a resource, and we need to put them in a resource group. Simplest definition. Do not need to make things complex. Okay. And then these are some of the very popular services or resources that we have in Azure. Okay. They have just put it here because lots of developers are using these services, so they do not need to go to the search bar again and again, and they can simply use these services from here. And trust me, we hardly use these services, and these are some of the favorites tab. Then this is important. From here you can actually manage your bells and all and blah blah blah. Let's forget about this because you are learning right now. Okay, so you do not need to worry about bells because you are using a free account. Obviously, when you will be landing your job as a data engineer, as an Azure data engineer developer, so then obviously you can just worry about that. And I would say not much at that time as well, because there will be a dedicated team to just monitor all those things. But still, if you're working in a startup, then you can obviously have a look, and it's always good, right? Very good. So now it's time to actually create the Azure resources, and how we can just do that. Simply go to the search bar and simply search resource group. Okay, and then you will see all the resource group, and I have so many resource groups, and just click on create and simply create a resource group, and you can simply provide a name. I will simply say RG Azure, or let's say Azure Data Warehouse. Okay, makes sense. Region, you can just pick any region, and let's say, yeah, just pick any region, bro. Any region. Which region you want, Anshlamba? Let's pick this one, Canada East. Okay, simply click on review plus create. East, where is East? Okay, let's keep it. Next, click on review plus create and simply click on create. Basically, you are creating a folder, and it's done. Click on go to resource group, and perfect. So here you can see your empty resource group because you have not created anything. Let's create our resource, which is called Azure Synapse Analytics. Make sense? Azure Synapse Analytics, which is a data warehousing solution. And first of all, let me just tell you again, we are focusing more on the data warehousing side of Azure Synapse Analytics because we have so much in Azure Synapse Analytics. Make sense? We have even Data Factory embedded in Azure Synapse Analytics. But still, I will just show you some pipelines. But yeah, our main focus right now is on the data warehousing side. Make sense? And if you just want to learn Azure Data Factory in detail, I have a dedicated video on my channel. You can definitely go there and just watch that video. In order to master ETLs, in order to master Azure pipelines, in order to master orchestration, right? That is a different entity of data engineering. That is data orchestration, data pipelines. Obviously, you should learn that, but that particular thing is not actually required to continue with this video, but it is really required in order to crack the interviews. So just go to that video just save that video so that you can just watch it later, and it's a gold mine. You can just check the comments and you will actually know that people are loving that video. Why? My simplicity, okay, plus depth that I cover, plus the complex real-time scenarios that I just explain in very simple words. I do not like making things complex for you. So these are basically 3 reasons. You can definitely check that video and just save that video so that you can just watch it later, okay? And just drop a lovely comment, lovely comment on this video as well, bro. Okay, so just do that, and we will be just focusing on the data warehousing side. So obviously we will not be building ETL pipelines in detail, but I will just build some basic pipelines with basic stuff so that you can actually understand the architecture and you will understand data warehousing in detail. Make sense? So do not comment, hey, you are not building professional pipelines. So bro, if you just want to learn professional pipelines, just watch my other videos. I have built professional pipelines in those videos. So just a disclaimer. Okay. So just click on create button. Okay, and just go to our marketplace, and now it's time to create a resource. How you can just create a resource? Simply search Azure Synapse. That's it. Perfect. So you will see lots of resources. Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Synapse Analytics private link hubs, and blah blah blah. Basically, this is a marketplace where anyone just can sell their services or SaaS products. But we will simply go to this one by Microsoft. Okay, and then click on create. It's empty. Now it is saying, hey, do you want to create a managed resource group? I will say no, I do not want to create that, but still it will create it, but I do not need to name it. Then resource group is ready for us. That's very good. Then workspace name. It is really important. You need to just provide a unique workspace name that should not be exactly similar to my name. Okay, so you can simply type, I will simply say Azure Data Warehouse Inc. Wow. Now, workspace name must contain one lowercase letter. What? Oh, only lowercase. Okay. Azure Data Warehousing. That's a good name. Is it available? Yeah, is it available? It is available. So basically, now you cannot pick this name, Azure Data Warehousing. You need to just say Azure Data Warehousing and Ansh. No. You can just put your name as well. Okay. And then region is West Europe. By the way, I love Europe. I really love the vibe, like the buildings and all, top notch. I think I love every country. Every country is unique, and obviously if you are just born on this planet, just explore every country, right? Ansh, have you explored? No. So what? I said like you should. So I will just pick a region, let's say this one? No. Or which one? Let's pick this one. This should be good because we need to pick one region which will be really available for our workspaces, because sometimes due to networking issue, not every region is available. But yeah, this region is very popular, so this should be available. So you can just check. UK South is another very popular region. Canada Central is very popular region. Asia is very popular region. So you can just try. Okay. Now it is saying account name. What is this? So basically, whenever we create Azure Synapse Analytics, we need to just provide like data lake, a kind of data lake that it will be using as a managed data lake. But in the real world, we do not work with data lake, like managed data lake, but still we need to provide it. I will simply pick any name. I will simply say create new, obviously, because or I can just pick any existing one as well. But if you just want to create new, just put any name, and we will not be using that resource, like that data lake, because we just work with our own external data lakes. I will simply pick my existing one if I have data lake Ansh. I already have one, so that's not a big deal. And assign myself. Basically what happens, it just allocates one data lake in which we do not need to pass any security parameters, nothing. But that's not a good practice. We should always do it like a pro. And if you are watching my video, you will become a pro, right? So simply go to next. Then this is important. You need to just create an admin. I will simply say admin Ansh, and password. Let's pick my what do you think, bro? What do you think? I'm picking any other person's as password name. I'm not in school. We are just students, just put password as their friend's girlfriend, boyfriend's name as password. Those days, bro. Those days. Then scroll down. Simply click on next. Networking, it's fine. Allow all connection, yes. Next, tags, next. Then click on create. It is saying you will be charged 5 USD per terabyte of data. Don't worry, we are not processing 1 terabyte of data, but simply click on create. It will take some time. It will deploy this, and we have something to do till the time it is like deploying this. So what we need to do, we need to create one more resource, which is data lake, which is our external data lake that we'll be using for this solution, right? Okay. So how you can just create the data lake in Azure? Simply go to home, click on resource group, because if it is not here, you can simply search. We will see all the resource group. In your case, it will be just one. I can just pick my resource group. So here I can click on plus create. Don't worry, it is just deploying right now. It is not ready. So click on create, and you can just check the notification from here. It is deployment in progress. Okay. Click on create. I will simply say storage account. Search and just pick storage account by Microsoft. Click create. Then again, you need to pick a unique storage account name. I will simply say Azure Data Warehouse Lake. Is it available? I think so. Azure Data Warehouse Lake. Let's create this in the same location. Yeah. Okay. Primary service, keep it as it is. Performance standard. Redundancy, LRS. It is locally redundant storage, which is the cheapest option we have. Click on next. And this is really important. You need to enable hierarchical namespace. Only then it will create a data lake for you. Otherwise you will be crying, hey, I cannot create folders and all. Click on review plus create, and that's it. It will deploy this very quick, because it doesn't need to do a lot of stuff. But yeah, for Synapse, it needs to create a lot of stuff. Click on this notification bar, and both are in progress right now. And don't worry, this workspace will be deployed very soon, and we have some work to do in that. So let me click on refresh. Yeah, perfect. So now our data lake is ready. We can simply click on go to resource, and this is our data lake. So if you're coming here for the first time, we have something called as containers. So it can be collapsed in your case like this. Click on this data storage and click on containers. Containers is basically the data lake option that we have within the storage account. By default, we get 4 options: containers, file shares, queues, tables. Tables is your semi-structured data solution, same as Cosmos DB. Queues is like storing your messages, same as Kafka. File shares is like the single repository to share all the files with your team, so just like SharePoint. And containers is like just the data lake. Click on this, click on plus container, because we will be creating container. Okay, and I will simply create a container called bronze. Okay, bronze. Click on create. Very good. Then we will create container called silver. Very good. Then we will create container called as gold. Make sense? Good. So these are my 3 layers. Let's create a container called source, because in our case we are using data lake as our source instead of SQL database, because with the advancements in data, people are more using data lake as source. So I want you to understand, because SQL database is very easy to understand, but we will just keep it as a challenge, and everything is same, bro. Fundamentals are same. There are so many sources, data lake, database, APIs, blah blah blah, but you need to understand how we need to work. Okay, good. So our data is ready, like structure is ready. What is our source? Let me just tell you what is our source. By the way, a good news. What's that? So go to notifications. You will see that Azure Synapse Analytics is also deployed, and we can actually look at that. Don't worry. But before, we need to create our source in order to work with it. Okay, because now we are performing a kind of data ingestion step first of all, and we are just storing our data in the staging layer, right? Remember? And where do we store our staging layer? In the bronze layer. Bronze layer is equivalent to staging. Okay, why I'm just covering bronze, silver, gold? Because this is a modern architecture that we follow. Just the names are different, but fundamentals are same. Staging means as it is data, okay, and it can be temporary and permanent, as you know. Then we will simply create silver, which is our transformation layer, correct? Then core layer is called gold layer. That's it. See, it's so simple, so simple. So now, where is our source? Our source is empty. Let's add some data, and how you can just add the data. Let's go to GitHub and just go to this boys GitHub repository. By the way, just click on this button. Okay. Oh, nice. So simply click on this repository, Azure Data Warehouse, and here you will see two CSV files. Just download both the CSV files because we will be just performing incremental load as well. Yeah, we will be performing incremental load. So what we can do, you can simply download it and you can just upload it in the data lake the same way I will be uploading. But you need to follow some steps. What? First of all, click on this upload button. Okay. And then click on browse for files. Click on this day 0 and then click on upload. So this is uploaded. For now, you just need to upload only one file. That's it. You do not need to upload any other file like day 1. No. Okay. You do not need to do that. Very good. And as you can see that it was modified on 1:44:26 p.m. and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So now we are all set to get started with our Synapse development because we have our source and now we need to use Synapse analytics to perform first of all ETL. Okay, then I will just show you how you can just perform in like incremental loading because that is important. Then obviously you'll be just performing transformation and then at the end obviously data warehousing stuff. So let's quickly do that. Let's go to our first of all resource group. Okay, just go to this one, home, and just search resource groups and just pick your resource group. Okay, and then you will see this one, and now it is deployed as we know, as we confirmed from the notification. Perfect. So now what we need to do, simply click on this. This is your Azure data warehousing solution. Earlier it was called as Azure Data Warehouse. Okay, and we didn't have like much like end-to-end features available, but then they just integrated so many things and they created this enterprise level solution which is called like Azure Synapse Analytics. Wow, that's the thing I love about Azure. They just do revolutionary things. They are not just sticking with only one type of solution and just keeping the solution same. No, they just love like adding more and more features, adding integrated solutions. So that's the reason I love Azure. I love other cloud providers as well, but see, like Azure is my first love, right? And you know the feeling of that first love. So yeah. So now this is my Synapse Analytics workspace. Okay, let's simply close this first of all. So this is the home tab that we have, and these are some of the quick links that we have for ingest, for explore and analyze, visualize. Ignore all of this because this is of no use. Trust me. Then simply go to data tab. Simply go to data tab and you will see workspace and linked. Basically, this is the area where we will be using to actually link our, let's say, data sets, all the storage accounts. Don't worry, we will just talk about it. Then we have a dedicated area for develop. This is the area where we can just actually write our SQL scripts. And obviously in order to create data warehouse, we need to write SQL scripts. So all those scripts will be saved here. Okay, makes sense? Very good. Then I just talked about that. Okay, these two things are for your data warehouse because in the data tab you can see linked and workspace, and in the workspace you can create your SQL warehouse and everything. And obviously you'll be creating one, don't worry. And this is the script area. But Ansh Lamba, you said that we can even perform ETLing in Synapse Analytics. Yes, this is the area for that. It's called integrate. And just a good news for you, integrate is the area which has embedded Azure Data Factory. That's it. It is just renamed here. Everything else is same. Everything else is same. Just renaming it. So you can actually perform all those things that you perform in Azure Data Factory, everything. Let me just click on this plus button, add new resource and click on pipeline. And see, whoa, this is just Azure Data Factory. But yeah, it is now embedded. So you need to know a lot of things like how we can just create data sets and like everything is same but still. So this is the area. Don't worry, we'll just come at it later. And then we have a monitor tab where we can just monitor all our pipelines. Obviously we do not have any, but in future you can just monitor all these things. Plus one more thing that we have here that was missing in the data factory, which is Apache Spark pools. What is this? So basically we can actually perform, you can say, Spark transformations in Synapse. It's all up to you, but I will just show you an alternative of that, because I know like a lot of you will be saying, hey, we do not know Spark right now. So you have a better way. It is called low no code solution, and it is called mapping data flows. Mapping data flow is nothing but just a kind of low no code solution for your Spark. Behind the scenes it is running Spark, but on the front end it is just like drag and drop. Okay, that will be learning in the transformation layer, no worries. Then this is the manage tab where we just manage all our link services, connection. What is a link service? What is a link service? Linked service is nothing but just a connection with your source and destination. Because in the ETL, let's say this is your Synapse Nartex, this is your source, this is your destination. Obviously you need a connection. So this connection is called as linked service. Just a fancy name, that's it. Okay, so this was just an overview of this, and obviously I told you, you can just watch my Azure Data Factory video. Almost all the things are same, but yeah, we will be just putting more efforts on the data warehousing part. Okay, so now first of all, let's go to pipeline and let's actually develop a simple pipeline which will help us to bring the data, to our row zone. Make sense? Okay, very good. So what we can do, we can simply say, hey, raw ingestion. Make sense? Very good. Raw ingestion. And again, we are not teaching Azure Data Factory in detail. You can just watch that video. I'm repeating again and again, but you can just follow some steps if you do not have prior experience. And if you have, then it's good. Okay. And if you do not have, just watch my video for Azure Data Factory, and it is one-stop solution. You will just learn Azure Data Factory in one shot. That's it. Then simply search copy, because copy data activity we use to ingest data from source and to migrate data from one place to another. Okay. So in the copy data, you simply need some things which is called source and sync. That's it. And simply click on the source, and I can even rename it. I will simply say raw ingestion. This is just like renaming your copy activity. Copy activity is nothing, as the name suggests. It helps us to copy the data from one place to another. And okay, from where you want to copy, it's called source. So simply pick source dataset, and obviously we do not have anything. Click on plus new button, and we will create our source. So what is our source? So basically our source is Azure blob storage, like Azure data lake, not blob storage. Click on continue, and then what is the file format? It's called CSV, and then click on continue. Okay, and then we can simply say DS for dataset. Okay, and raw CSV. Now what is a link service? We do not have any link service, so let's create a new one, plus new. I will simply say ls data lake. Okay, now you simply need to pick authentication type as service system assigned managed identity. Now you need to stop here. Why? Because just tell you one thing. Let's go to resource group. Okay, let's go to home, decent. Okay, so this is our resource group. This is a different entity. How my Synapse will be using this data lake? How? My data is sitting in this data lake, and this is a different entity. That is the concept of external data lake. So here you need to allow this Synapse workspace to talk to this data lake. And how? Simply go to this data lake and go to access control, and now just click on add role assignment, and just add a role called storage blob contributor. Simply storage blob, it should come. Yeah, contributor, click next. Now click on manage identity, click on select members, and click Synapse workspace. Simply pick this one and click select. That's it. Click review plus sign, and you're good to go. So it will simply review plus sign, and it will simply add the role. It is added. Perfect. Now you can simply use the system assign manage identity, because we have allowed Synapse to use that particular resource. Okay, very good. Now Azure subscription, this one, storage account name, simply pick the one that we created. What was the name of it? Yeah, this one, Azure Data Warehouse Lake. So this is the connection that we have created. We can simply test it as well. Click on test connection. At the bottom right corner, it is successful. Very good. Click on create. That's it. Now it is saying, hey, what is the file path? I will simply go to this browse button. Okay. And I will simply say, obviously source. Okay. So it is simply loading and will simply see, like, mention all the files. So we have currently this file. Click on OK. Okay. Click on OK for one more time. So this is our source. This is the story of source. Again, I'm repeating, we are not building professional ETL pipelines in order to explain ETLing and incremental loading, but I am just giving you a high level understanding how we create the architecture, how we just create the pipelines. Again, I'm repeating because this is not Azure Data Factory course. This is a Synapse data warehousing side. Okay. So do not say, hey, you are just building simple pipelines. How you will just tackle this error? How you will just do that thing? So bro, for that we have dedicated course on Azure Data Factory. Okay. So you can simply go there. Who is texting me, bro? Who is texting me? I rarely receive texts. Okay, so that's why I was like, who is there? That's, I think, spam. It's Villa Lane, and the person is saying, have a splendid day. I don't know. So now, where was I? Okay, where were I? So I was just saying that for that we have a dedicated video. It's called Azure Data Factory full course, and in that particular video we have explained like incremental loading, and even after that I have created a dedicated video on Azure Data Factory real-time scenarios as well. So we have like dedicated videos for Azure Data Factory. So this is not a dedicated video on Azure Data Factory. We are covering data warehousing solution. So now I will not repeat this. Okay, very good. Okay, so now as you can see, this is my activity, and on the sync side we need to create another data set so that I can actually dump my data on the destination side. Okay, simply click on this and click on plus new, and again data lake. Perfect. This time I will dump my data in the Parquet form. Why? Because it is always recommended to use Parquet files because it carries your schema. CSV files do not carry your schema, and it is always recommended to use Parquet in the sync. Whenever you can use Parquet, it's always good. I will simply pick this one, continue, Parquet, continue. Very good. And name is DS Parquet. Very good. Link service we have already created, and we will simply use the same one. And now you can simply say bronze, because our container name is bronze. Within that I will create a folder. I will simply say sales, and file name will be let's keep it as it is because we are not worrying about file name, but still we can just do that. Let's say order day 0. Yeah, let's say order day 0 dot Parquet. Okay, makes sense. Order day 0 dot Parquet. Simply click on OK. Perfect. And yeah, it can just throw the error because we do not have any schema on the sync side because there is no file. Simply click on none and click on OK. It's fine. Then the second thing is mapping. So in the mapping you can actually import the schema. What it will do, it will simply import the schema of the source, and you will see, hey, all these columns are like this. See, everything is like this. So now you know that order ID can be in string, no worries, but other things should be in other file formats. Let's say not file format, like in other data formats. Let's say you would want unit price in the int form, right? In the int64, you can simply change it from here. Total amount should be in the int64. You can simply change it, and you can do a lot of stuff. Okay, and then obviously date should be in the date format. Do we have date? Yep, so we have date, so it should be in the date format. So we can actually change the types. Now we are good to run this. Simply click on debug, and it will simply run this pipeline, this activity, and it will simply apply, and you are actually applying an ETL. You have extracted. Okay, now you are loading the data. It is like just the extraction part of ETL. You are extracting the data. Okay, and you are just storing the data in the staging layer, which is bronze. Very good. Very good. And in our case, we are creating a persistent layer where we will be just storing the history as well. So it's always good. Oh, it's done. See, now I will show you my data lake. I will simply go to my resource group and let's go to containers. And now you will see in the bronze, in the sales, this is my file, order day 0.packet. So I have successfully copied the data. I have successfully extracted the data from the data lake. And as you can see, we have so many connectors, right? If I just go here, or let's say I want to go source, if I just want to create a new data set, you will see, so there are so many connectors. We have connector for S3, RDS, View for Oracle, SQL Server, Apache Impala, Cosmos DB, Postgres, SQL Server. We have so many connectors. Hadoop, Google Cloud Storage, HBase, Hive, HubSpot, IBM, MongoDB, MariaDB, obviously Fabric, MySQL. We have so many connectors. So we can just extract any data without any hustle. We simply need to create the connection, which is link service. That's it. Your work is done. That's why we are just moving towards cloud. It's so simple to integrate to the sources, right? So simply click on cancel, and now you have successfully extracted the data and put it in the staging layer. Now it's time to actually talk about incremental loading, because it's high time to talk about incremental loading. And now let me just show you what is incremental loading and why do we need incremental loading, and then we'll perform a demo of it, like how we just can incrementally load the data. Okay. And before that, simply click on publish all, because I don't want you to just lose your progress. So simply click on publish. It will simply save your work, and you can just come back and you will see all your activities are here. Okay. So, okay, now let's see what is incremental loading. What is incremental loading? Let's see. Perfect. Now it's high time to talk about incremental loading. Now, as we know that we are using here data lake. Okay. This is a data lake in our scenario. We have populated the data in the staging layer. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. We know that after putting the data in the staging layer, we simply perform something called as transformation. And after storing, after performing transformation, we can even store it, because in the medallion architecture, we store this data. So we can actually store this data as well. Once the data is transformed and stored, we will simply go to our next layer, which is the core layer. Makes sense. This makes sense when you are running your pipeline for the first time. Now let's take the real example. So let's say today is 13th. Okay. Let's say today is 13th. So you are loading the data on 13th, and you are loading all the data till 13th. Makes sense. Let's say you started saving this data in the source from 1st of January, and today is 13th of April, and you are just storing your data till 13th, and you have decided to start your ETL steps. Now on 13th, you loaded data from Jan 1st till 13th of April. Make sense? Very good. Now that data is here. Okay. For now it is here, I know, but just imagine that we have transformed the data as well, and we have stored the data as well, so that you can actually understand why do we need incremental loading. For now, just imagine that you have already created the core layer as well. Okay. Next day, on the 14th of April, just tell me one thing. Will you load all the data from Jan 01 till 14th of April? Obviously, right? You will load all the data from Jan 1st till 14th of April. Really? No. Why you will just load all the data? Because you already have data till 13th of April, right? So now, ideally, what you need to do? Ideally, you need to perform incremental loading. And I think you have already got the concept. Now you know the answer. What we need to do? You need to simply load the data from 13th till now or till 14th. Make sense? So this is the concept of incremental loading, where you do not need to load the data again and again. You will simply load the data for just the delta of previous load and the current load. Make sense? So this is the concept of incremental loading. Now only one day of data will be landing here, one day of data will be transformed, and only one day of data will be stored. And this is our data warehouse. This has all the data for the previous, like for the history, all the historical load and the new load as well. Make sense? Make sense? Very good. So this is the concept of incremental loading. Okay, good. So now how we can just perform incremental loading? By the way, every incremental loading solution is different. If you are dealing with SQL, it is different. If you are dealing with files, it is different. If you're dealing with APIs, it is different. So every solution is different. In our case, we are dealing files, which is data lake. And now we are not designing any incremental loading pipeline or professional pipeline. I'm again repeating this. Let me just show you how we actually, like what we are trying to do. What is our end goal? What is our architecture design? So let me just show you. We'll simply go here. Okay. And now what we need to do, we need to simply rerun this pipeline, this copy activity, but this time go to source. Okay, go to this open button because we need to edit our what data set. And even before that, let me just go to data lake and let's upload the data, another file. Let's say this is our day 0, which is till 13th of April. Now let's add the data for 14th of April. Let me click on upload. So this is day 1. Click on upload. So let's say this is the new data that came in that came in yesterday, and now we want our pipeline to be made in such a way so that it will simply read only this file, this new file. And again, I have created dedicated videos on this, like how you can just manage this, so you can actually watch that video. Let me just show you, man. Let me just show you. So simply go to this video and just go to my channel, and you can simply land on the videos. And first of all, if you do not know anything in the Azure Data Factory, you can simply go to this video, Data Factory full course. This is like 4 hours course, and in one shot you will learn everything. Everything means everything. And this video will be enough. Okay. And trust me, you can just watch this video after watching this video. But for now, simply save this video so that you can actually watch it after it. And if you just want to learn more and more real-time scenarios and you want to become a pro, that I also recommend you to become a pro, then you can simply watch my Azure Data Factory interview questions. Okay, because in this I have covered real-time scenarios, or you can watch this one, dedicatedly built on this real-time scenarios. So it's up to you. You can pick any one video. Okay, if you pick both, then it's like cherry on the cake. But yeah, if you just want to pick 2, these are the 2 videos. Okay, now I will not repeat it. Okay, so now I will simply load this data, only this day 1 file. I will simply go here. I will simply click on pencil button, and this time I will simply click on browse, and I will simply go to source, and I will simply pick the new file only instead of both. I will simply say okay. So what this will do this time, only process this new file, and we have automated solutions and we have automated pipelines to do this in those videos. Okay, but now I'm just explaining you the concept. You will simply process this data only, and you will simply go here. Your source is fine now, but go to sync. You need to edit your sync as well, because you need to say order day 1 dot packet. Make sense? Now just rerun this pipeline, and now you are performing incremental loading, and you will see only and only new file will be there. And yes, only and only new file will be there. So let's wait for it to complete. And it is in progress. Bro, quick. Yeah, succeeded. Perfect. So now if you just see your bronze container, you will see that in the sales folder you have 2 files, order day 0, order day 1. You do not have 2 files for order day 0. That is the concept of incremental loading. That is the concept. Make sense? Make sense? Very good. So now this was all about your staging layer, your bronze layer. Now let's talk about data transformation, because Ansh Lamba, you said we need to perform ETL everything, and in the T we have transformation. We have so many solutions available for transformation. We have Spark, we have, you can say, we have like countless solutions, but Spark is the most important one and the most in-demand solution for transformation. But not everyone knows Spark. So what Azure did for data warehouse developers, it has created something called as, simply click on this plus button and you will see, wait, not here. Yeah, you can simply go to data, and not even data, go to the script button, develop, click on this pencil button, and you will see something called as data flow. So they have created something called as data flow, and it is a mapping data flow in which you can perform all the transformation without any code. Without any code. Can you imagine? And behind the scenes, it will be running Spark code for you. So just say thanks to on this video. Okay, I will just transfer your message or comments to them, to your team. Okay, so now you can see that we have no code formula as well. So Anshlaba, will you just show us? Yes, obviously, bro. I'm so possessive for you. I will just show everything that I can. Okay, so I'll simply take you to the transformation layer, and now we'll be building our transformation layer, and then we'll be building our data warehousing layer, which is your star schemas, like those fact dimension, everything. Okay, let's see what do we have in the data flow. So now what I will do, first of all, publish all, because our step is completed. And now we will simply click on the pipeline button. Really? Again? Yeah, again. Click on this new pipeline and simply create one pipeline and simply say transformation layer. But Ansh Lamba, click here and search data flow. So we have an activity called data flow within Data Factory, and when you just click on it, you will automatically land on that data flow. So this is a better way to go there. I will simply rename it. I will simply say data transformation. Go to settings, and now it is saying, what is your data flow? We do not have any. Click on plus new, and this is your data flow. It is empty. Yeah, because now we'll be building it. So I will simply rename it. I will simply say data flow. Yeah, simply data flow, and just click on this to have more space. So now we need to add one source, and obviously we need to say like, what is our source? So we will simply creating a source, and let me just show you how you can just perform data transformation quickly. Let me just show you. So first of all, we need to define a source. Okay, makes sense. So I hope now you're just grabbing the whole flow that we have. Data in the bronze layer, and now we're just trying to shift it to the silver layer with obviously transformation, and this is just the fancy names for your staging and transform layer, right? Very good. So now what is our source? Our source is in the bronze layer, right? And our source is all the files which are sitting in the bronze container. Makes sense? We'll simply click on source and click on add source. So now this is a stream. This is called a stream. Okay, and now we can even rename it, and it's always good to just rename those things. I'll simply say source bronze. Make sense? Very good. Now data set. We need to create a data set. Okay, click on plus new and click on this data lake storage gen 2. Click on continue, and this time simply pick Parquet because our data is in the Parquet format. Very good. The name is DS Parquet bronze. Make sense? Good. Link service will be the same because link service is just a connection. Okay. Now click on this browse button, go to bronze, and then simply pick sales folder. Now you will say, Ansh Lamba, which file we need to pick, because we need to process obviously all the data. So the thing is, we do not need to pick anything. Simply click on OK because we need to pick the whole folder. So this will be empty. Make sense? Click on OK. So it will simply add that particular source, and it takes some time. Okay, so it is added. Now, if you just go here, go to source options. So we have like wildcard paths. Basically, we use wildcard paths when we are just trying to pull the data hierarchically, because we can have like multiple folders, and nothing special here. And you can see what we need to do after completion. So this is a step that we can perform in order to, you can say, make our bronze layer transient and persistent. It is saying delete source files. Do you want to delete the source files? If we just delete the source file, it will simply terminate that particular folder every time. But we are not trying to do that. No, because we need to create our layer as persistent. Okay. Then projection. This is just showing us the projection, and as we all know, this is the projection and it looks good. Then optimize. Okay. We can obviously partition our data, but we are not partitioning our data. Inspect. Again the schema. Data preview. Now this option will be turned off by default because you need to turn it on explicitly, and it is expensive. Obviously you are using a free account, but still just take care that you will be turning it off when it is done, and you should only see this when you are just transforming your data. Simply click on this, and it is saying, hey, this is auto resolve integration runtime, and debug time to live is 1 hour, so that we can just actually use this cluster for 1 hour. And I can simply say okay. So this step will take time because it needs to turn on the cluster, it needs to turn on the virtual machines, so it will take at least, I think, 2 to 3 minutes. Once it is done, you can actually preview your data, and when we develop the solution, yes, we need to turn it on. But once it is done, once it is in the production, we do not need to turn it on because it will be executed using auto resolve integration runtime, and there is no need to just turn on the debug cluster. Make sense? Okay. So now till the time it is being created. So now one question I want to ask from you. What's that? Okay, let's ask that question after the transformation step because it makes more sense at that time. Okay. So it will take some time. Let's wait. So as you can see, my cluster is on. As you can see, data flow debug. Now if I just click on data preview and then refresh, I should see my data as it is. That is there in the source. And obviously you will be performing some basic transformations, and obviously it is too subjective. It is totally depending. Who is this man? Okay, so it is totally depending upon the requirements. Okay, let's say you want to add some columns, you want to filter some rows, you want to do this, that, blah, blah, blah. You can do a lot of stuff, right? Transformations are too subjective, but still I will just show you some of the basic transformations, like 3 to 4 functions, and then we will simply dump our data to the silver layer. Can we just do that using data flow? Yes. You can even move your data. You do not need to actually use copy activity only. Copy activity is used when you just loading the data into the bronze container, or let's say bronze layer. Once the data is loaded in the bronze layer, this is your buddy. Okay, buddy. So see, as you can see that my data is ready, and I have 10 records. I know, because in the first file we had 8 records, and in the second file we had only 2 records, and everything looks perfect, and I'm really satisfied with the result. Okay, so as you can see, my data is of this type, and I can like also click on inspect just to make sure like all the data types are fine, and I am happy with that as well. So now let's say I want to apply some transformation on let's apply some transformation because we need to see. Okay, let's say I want to apply transformation and I want to fetch out. Okay, let's do this. So let's say in the unit price column, I want only those units which are greater than 100, because I want to just talk about only those orders which are greater than 100. How we can just perform this thing? And just to tell you, this record will be removed because we want to remove this, right? This is just a hypothetical situation. So how we can just do that? Steps are really simple. Simply click on this plus button, and then here are your all the transformations that you can apply using low-no code. See, there are so many transformations. So you can actually click on filter. Your filter will be ready. If you don't just want to remove it, click on this and click delete. That's it. Click on plus, and obviously we need to apply filter, so we can simply bring it back. And I want to say filter less than 100. Make sense? Now simply click on this enter filter. Click on this and click expression builder. Now in this expression builder, you need to tell like what you need to filter. What's the condition of that filter? I will simply say this is my schema. Okay, expression value. Simply scroll down, and I will simply say unit price, this one, greater than or equals to 100. That's it. Click on save and finish. And now just click on this filter activity and now click on data preview. So this will show you the preview of the data after applying this transformation. And if you already know Spark, this is equivalent to this step. Once you apply transformation and you simply write display df, this is the same thing. So behind the scenes it is using Spark. And now we have the preview. We should see records. See, now we just have 9 records, just 9 records. Very good, very good. Now let's say you want to apply one more transformation. What's that? You just want only the domain, or let's say you want to add one column which is called domain, in which you are just trying to get the domain, let's say this example.com, this, and you want to add one column. How you can just do that? Basically click on plus button, okay, and then simply say derived column. So derived column is equivalent to with column in Spark. Okay, click on this derived column. I'll simply say add domain. Simple. Now what we need to do, this is the column, okay, and I'll simply say pick a column. Do we have a column with the name domain? No, that means we are getting a new column, right? Simply say domain, right? Now just add O. Now click on this expression builder. Now we need to define the expression for this particular column. Which column? This one. So what we need to do, oops, I just pressed escape button. Now what we need to do, we simply need to grab the data after at the rate, right? So first we'll be using, simply click on functions to just see the list of functions that you have. Obviously you have so many. So I know that in my particular scenario, a function something similar to split should work, right? I'll simply search it. Split. Do we have split? Yes, we have split function. I'll simply click on it, split function. Now it is saying string to split and split characters. String to split, like what is the column and on which delimiter we want to split. I will simply say split and then my column name. Click on input schema and remove it first, and then simply say customer email. Perfect. And now the remover is at the rate. So on the at the rate, it will simply remove it. It will simply remove it. Very good. Now I will simply use array 0. Click on save and finish. Click on data preview and let's see if it works. Because this is low no code, so you cannot actually use the same way you use in Spark. But let's see if it works or not. Domain is null. Okay, so let's go back here and simply click on this expression builder and let's remove this array. I thought it would work, but no. So click on save and finish and then simply refresh, because first we need to see that it is okay fetching the results. So refresh. Okay, perfect. So this is basically a list that you can see, and in this list we have values such as allies and example.com. Can you see domain 1, domain 2? See, so when we just use split function, it basically creates a list of the elements, and the delimiter that we pick will be the separator. So now we have allies or alias, whatever you want to say, and domain like example.com. Now we can actually fetch maybe only example.com. So in Spark we simply write 0th index and it automatically gets fetched. So here it is a list type, so we can simply click on this and then we can simply pick something called as, because we have like array functions as well, like formatters, parse, flatten and stringify, and yeah, we have like so many functions. So let's try to use, let's say, derived column again. Yep. And I'll simply pick fetch only domain. Okay, and this time we need to pick the same column, domain, because we already have that. Go here and then simply use do we have array function? Just see array. Oh yeah, it will simply contain array and contains distinct filter. Oh yeah, we have filter. Okay, we have flatten as well. Okay, so we can just use, I think, flatten, and it will simply flat your array and it will simply convert this list into a kind of, let's say, let me zoom a little bit. So see, if we use flatten, it will simply take the list, like multiple list, and it will simply create a list like this. So flatten 1, flatten 2, flatten 3, and so on. So we can just use this as well. So there are basically many functions, and we have one more function called slice. So slice basically helps us to just slice our data. So let's say you are just use this one. Oops, oh man, this escape button. So if you just use slice, yeah, so if you just click on this, see there's a list here. So it is saying if you have a list, you simply need to define what element you want. I would say I want second element, okay, and then just the 1th array. That's it. What is this 1th array? So basically we need to just start our index from 1. So we cannot say, hey, just pick this one. So I'll simply write slice and you will understand it. I need to do something with this escape button. So slice, okay, and then obviously the array is input schema, which is domain column. Basically these are some transformation functions that you can actually try, no need to worry. Then 2, and then what I will do, I will simply write 1, okay. And do we need to write 1 inside it or outside it? So just click on functions. We need to write 1 outside the function. That is right. Okay, I just wanted to confirm instead of seeing errors. Click on the, oh yeah, we can obviously like preview the data from here as well, but I have simply like to see it from here. Click on refresh. So basically there are so many functions. I prefer writing Spark code, but yeah, you can, if you just want to use low no code, you can actually use it. And as you can see, we have fetched the domain, which is example.com. And if you ever want to use any function, I would just simply recommend just type that function and simply see the example. That's it, because this is not a generic standard that we use. It is specific to mapping data flow. So you have to just refer to some examples and it's not a big deal. Okay, same way that I have just done right now. I like that slice function. I think I am just using this function for the first time. Trust me. So it's just like that. You can just simply see the examples and that's it. So this is all about, let's say you are fine with your transformations and now you are happy to push your data to the silver layer. That makes sense. So how we can just do that? You can simply add one step and it's called sync. Scroll down and at the bottom you would see destination sync. So here it is saying, okay, I will just push this data to the sync. Okay. And I will simply give a good name to it. I will simply say silver destination. Makes sense? Okay. Now scroll down and it is asking for the data set. Obviously we need to create a data set for silver layer. Click on plus new and data lake gen 2, and in which file format you want to save. Obviously bucket. So simply pick this plus new data lake bucket. Okay. Now I'll simply say ds silver. Make sense? Very good. Link service will remain the same, and this time just pick silver container and we do not have anything in this. Click on OK and create a folder. Just say enriched sales. Why enriched? Because very like second popular name for silver layer is enriched layer, like raw for bronze, enriched for silver, curated for gold. And same way staging, transform and core, just the fancy names, synonyms. Okay, simply click on OK. Now obviously none, because we in the sync side we do not have any kind of file right now, so that's why. So this is ready now. This data flow is ready. In order to run this data flow, you have to just go to your this pipeline transformation layer and you have to click on debug, and then you can actually run this data flow. And it is just showing a red mark here in the parameters. We do not have any parameters, so it's fine. Okay, so now what we will do, we'll simply run this debug. And now I will ask that question that I was about to ask in the beginning. And yes, that's a question for you. So it will take some time to run this data flow, and it will use our data flow debug mode because it is already there. By the way, there are basically two ways to run this: data flow debug or integration runtime as well, because now we are running the pipeline, not the only data flow. Okay, but when you're developing the data flow, you should only use, and you can only use, data flow debug. So let's wait for it to complete, and it should be done maybe in just few seconds. Now I'm going to about like okay, let me just ask that question because I know it will be completed. So we have loaded our data in the bronze container. First of all, that's fine. Now we are loading our data to silver layer. Okay, and that is in the file format, right? In the packet format. Very good. But where is the table? Okay, it is successful. Let's talk about it later in the video. But where is the table? This is the data. Let me show you. I will go to my containers, silver. This is a folder, very good. This is the file, very good. But where is the table? Oh, that's a good point. We have our data in the file format. And obviously, we are just creating our silver layer, but for bronze layer, I'm fine. I do not need tables because for bronze layer, I'm not showing that data to anyone, and it's my choice if I'm just preparing that layer in the form of persistent. Okay, so bronze layer is fine. We do not need to create any tables in bronze layer. But for silver, we should create the tables. Where are the tables? Where are the tables? This is just the file. Tell me. That's where comes the real data warehousing of Synapse Analytics. Just go back to Synapse Workspace. Basically, this is just a transformation step, right? Or let's say data flow. Now, let me just show you by clicking on this data button, and you will see this is empty, right? Let me just collapse everything. Okay, and let me just click on this plus button, and you will see SQL database. Okay, click on this, and here you will see serverless and dedicated. By the way, in the Azure Synapse Analytics, we have two options. One is serverless SQL pool and second one is dedicated SQL pool. What is the difference between two? Basically, by the way, let me just tell you, in the modern world, we just use serverless SQL pool. We do not use dedicated SQL pool, and you will know the reason why. So basically, in the serverless SQL pool, we do not own the files. Okay, let me just explain. Wait, baby. We do not own the files. So as we know that our data is here in the silver layer. Okay, we have your files. Very good. And now we want to create a database. Database just like data warehouse. Okay, database like data warehousing database, like OLAP database. Okay, so now we want to create a data warehouse on top of this file. Oh, so that means in the modern world, we save our data in the form of files, in the form of Parquet, in the form of, let's say, ORC, in the form of Delta. Then we create our database on top of it. Yes, this is the concept of serverless SQL pool, in which you do not need to store this data to a dedicated SQL pool. That means the real traditional database. No, you do not need to do that. Why? First of all, it is expensive. Second, you cannot actually, let's say, differentiate the compute from the storage. But in the serverless SQL pool, you can see that compute is here, which is your serverless SQL pool, and data is here, which is totally different and independent of that compute. So you are actually creating an isolated layer of compute on top of your data. Make sense? So now what we gonna do? We will be this is the cloud data warehousing. This is the modern cloud data warehousing, where our data is not connected to our compute. It is isolated. That is the concept of lakehouse as well. That is the concept that every organization is adapting right now, because it is very expensive to store your data in the traditional data warehouses in the structured form. No, we will be storing our data in the file format, and we will create the table on top of it. Can we do that? Yes. This is the power of cloud data warehousing. You can create tables, and it's called external tables in Synapse. It's called external tables. So what you will be doing? We have data in silver layer. Makes sense. Now we will be creating our data warehouse and table on top of this silver table, or let's say this silver data file. Make sense? Make sense? And I know you're really excited. Hey, how we can just create a table on top of a file, because file is just a file and table is table. Yes, this is the power of Azure Data Warehousing. Your data is in the form of files. You can create a table on top of it, and That table will just be the skeleton, that will be just the blueprint, and your data will be coming actually from the files. There are some steps that you need to do, and that's what I'm just going to tell you. Okay, so for that, you need to take care of so many things, because there's a flow, like how you can just actually deal with it. Okay, so now it's time to actually focus, like fully focus on data warehousing stuff. Okay, so now how you can just do that. So for that, first of all, what you need to do, publish all your work. Okay. So once it is published, we will be creating our first data warehouse. Okay, and it will be serverless, and serverless is the modern choice of all the organization, trust me. So I'm just explaining the modern tool. Okay, say thanks, just kidding, just say love you. just go to your data tab. Okay, and then just click on this plus button and click on SQL database. Why there are two? So basically, if you use Spark notebooks, you can actually create lake database, but in most of the organizations, we just use SQL database in Synapse. If they just want to create a lake database, they simply go to Databricks. That's what I think. Okay, click on SQL database, because serverless SQL pool is amazing. Amazing. Click on this, and obviously serverless, do not create dedicated one, because it is really expensive, and that doesn't make any sense, because every organization is switching from data dedicated to serverless, and serverless is the best one. So now we need to simply create our data warehouse, which is just a database. I mean to name it. So I'll simply say sales data warehouse. Good name. Click on create, and it will create a database for us. Okay, see, very good. And this is our SQL data warehouse. Perfect, man, perfect. Click on this and you will see external tables. I told you it is empty, obviously. External resources, what's that? Hey, external data source. Hey, what is file format? Hold on, baby, hold on. I will just tell you everything. For now, simply close all the tabs and make sure everything is published. Otherwise, you will say, Ansh Lamba, how we can just get back to our progress? So, click on this develop button right now, because we'll be creating a script. Make sense? Okay. Click on this, and here we have so far just a data flow. I will simply click on these three dots. I will simply say maybe new folder. So click on this new folder, or you can simply click on plus button and then simply say SQL script. It's all up to you if you just want to create a folder, or I will simply create SQL script right away, and I will simply name it. And I will simply name it like what name I will give. I will simply say external resources. What's that? What's that? Basically, in order to create an external table, you need three things. Basically two things. Okay, basically two things. First thing is you need something called as external data source. Let's talk about this. What's that? So basically, this is your Synapse workspace. Okay, you want to use a data lake. Very good. Within that data lake, you have multiple folders. Yes, bronze, silver, gold. Am I right? Very good. So we create something called as external data source for each one, or for those which we want to use. Obviously, we are not using bronze, but we are using silver and gold. So we need to create data source for silver and gold. Why? Because we need to allow Synapse, or let's say this particular data warehouse, to use this particular container. Otherwise, how it will use that? How? The second advantage of it. Second advantage. Whenever you will be creating external table, every time you need to write external data source, and don't worry, you will see the syntax. Okay. For now, just grab the concept. Every time you need to write external data source. So when you write external data source, so you have already created external data source. Okay, makes sense. Let's say you have created a variable X, let's say, or let's say Y. What's wrong with X? Okay, simply create a variable called Y. Okay, so this Y will be holding your location. Make sense? Your location. Make sense? Very good. Now, whenever you will be creating a table, okay, instead of putting external data source again and again, like this whole location, you can simply say why. Simple. And when you need to create external table, you need to specify the location. Obviously, on top of which file you want to create a table. You do not need to specify this location again because this y is there. Okay, so it saves a lot of time. You just need to define external data source one time and it's done. It's done. Because without external data source, how it will actually use that? You will say, Ansh Lamba, don't be over smart. Because we have allowed Synapse workspace to use our storage account. So it can use that, right? If you have this question, bro, salute, because that's a valid question. Very valid question. So now, actually, behind the scenes, we are telling Synapse to use that system managed identity to go to the location and just use it. Oh, so that is why earlier I said we need three things, because in order to create your external data source, you need something called as database scoped credential. And this is the database scoped credential which tells, hey, you need to use system managed identity. What is a system managed identity? The Synapse identity. That's it. It will be using that to actually access the data. That's it. So that's why we actually need three things. Okay, database scope credential, and on top of it we will creating data external data source. Then we need external file format. Now what is this external file format? So whenever you want to create an external table, we need to specify what type of file it is. So for that we have something called as external file format. So obviously in this case it is Parquet, so we'll simply say Parquet. We need to specify it. That's it. It is very simple. That's it. Very well done. So now let's remove this drawing. Okay, let's actually get started with it. So first of all, we need to create something called as create external data, create database scoped credential. Okay, and you need to write create database scoped credential, and let me just add comments. I will simply say database scoped credential. Make sense? Very good. This is just a comment, just for the readability. Very good. Very good, very good, very good. So this is create database scope credential. Now you need to write database scope credential name. So I will simply say Ansh creds. Okay, you can simply write Ansh creds as well. It's all up to you. Then I will simply say with identity equals managed identity. Make sense? Very good. Simply run this, select this and click on run, and you will see one error. Really? Yep. Why? Because you are using master database. Okay, you need to use sales data warehouse. Very good. Simply run this and you will see another error. Oh, why? And if you know, why didn't you tell us before? Because there's a flow of study, right? You need to know first some things and then some things. So yeah, now you are just trying to create a database scope credential, right? But in this database, have you created a master key so far? Because you need to create something called as master key on every database, and it is a fundamental thing that you always create in your maybe SQL server as well. Okay, and how we can just create that key? So I'll simply go here and I'll simply say create master key, and for that you can simply go on Google and simply say create master key in SQL, and you will get the code. And it's just a common code like you can use in your like SQL server. See, this is a documentation for SQL server. Exact same thing. Create master key, and then you simply need to write encryption password equals to password. That's it. Okay. Really? Yeah. You simply need to, obviously you do not need to write password. You need to just create a complex password, tuck, and then you can simply say encryption equals to password by password equals to this, and now I'll simply say encryption by password equals to, so I will simply write my password here, okay, and then I'll simply remove this statement, but you need to put this password here, and simply you need to pick multiple special characters and just create a complex password and just forget, because you will not be using it, trust me. We do not need to use it. We first need to create master key and just forget it, okay, just for this video. So let me just try create my password. So I have run this command, okay, not this one, obviously I put my password here, and as you can see it is successful, and I can remove this now. And now if I just try to run this command, now this will run fine and perfect. Now I have my Ansh credentials, so now I'll be creating external data source, okay. I'll simply say external data source, and don't worry, I'll just show you the code as well from where you can get as well. Like I remember this, so I can simply write it. I'll simply say create external data source, okay, and data source name I will simply keep let's say, because obviously we need to create two data sources, so one I will simply say silver source. Makes sense? Very good. That's it. And then you will simply say with, and then here you need to simply put the location. Where's the location? Location is this one. Simply go here, and or you can simply go here as well. So if you go to linked, you will see all your data sets. If you just go here, you will see all the attached data lake accounts that you have so far. So this is Azure Data Warehousing. This is the primary storage account that we have. See, and if you just go to your this one, this is called Azure Data Warehouse Lake. Okay, so this is the primary one which we created. Remember that we just created and we said like, okay, we will not be using it. So this is just the primary one. This is not an external one. You can actually add it. Simply click on these three dots and click on connect to Azure storage, and then you can simply provide the path if you want. And it's always good to just connect your storage account here, because it will be really handy and it will help you a lot to just create all your, let's say, data links. So what we can do, we can simply say connect to Azure storage preview. No, we do not need to connect to Azure storage preview. So simply click on plus and connect to external data. Click on this and then simply pick external data lake, and then you can simply name it as well. I will simply say, let's say, external lake, okay, and this will be our system assigned managed identity, because we know storage account is Ansh Data Warehouse Lake. Perfect. Now click on create. What is the benefit of it? The biggest benefit is you do not need to go to the data lake like again and again. So you can simply grab everything from here. You can actually see what is there in your data lake from this tab, from linked. So let me just refresh it. Perfect. As you can see, I have LS data lake and I have this as well. So basically when I just click on LS data lake, this is just the link service that I have created with the previous one, so I can use any one. I just wanted to show you this way as well, like how you can just create from here. But if you have any link connection with your storage account, it should appear here. As you can see, it is already there, but that is another way that you should know. Okay, so I can simply pick anyone and you will see the same results. See, so both the accounts are same, but the different ways to create the linked account here. So now if I just want to grab the location, how I can just grab the location? So you can simply go to silver. Okay, so this will open the repository for you within the same location. See, this is your Synapse data. Azure Data Lake is here. This is Synapse, right? And you can see, you can actually access the data lake from Synapse using this link service. Good. So now I want to grab the location for this folder. Okay, click on right click on it and click on properties, and you will see URL path. Simply get the copy to clipboard and go to external resources and put this location here. Okay, and obviously we need to say equals to location equals to this, then put comma. Okay, now we need to put that, okay, we will be creating external data source for you, and this is the answer to your question that you asked from me, that how it will access it. Obviously database scope credentials. So I will simply say credential equals to this one that we have just created. That's it. Make sense? Now we are good to run this. Simply select this and run, and it should be fine. See, now I will show you how you can just get the code. Simply search create external table Synapse, hit enter and click on this. Use external table Synapse SQL, and you should see the code here for your first of all credential. See, external data source, and this is the code. Create, first of all, it is creating database code credential, and they are using SAS tokens, but SAS token is not secured. Like obviously it is secured, but system assigned managed identity is the most secured way, and it is recommended by Microsoft Azure as well. So I personally use managed identity, and you should always use managed identity because we need to put the secret. Who puts the secret in the code, bro? No one. So once we create the database code credential, then we create the external data source itself. As you can see, we have also created it, and we do not need to specify type. It's fine. It's fine. And as you can see, they have used location with APFSS protocol. It's fine. You can use HTTPS as well. So it's fine. So once it is done, now we will be creating our external file format. Okay. I will simply say external file format. See how different this particular data warehousing is with your on-prem data warehousing or just your data warehousing concepts. You actually learn when you use a technology with the concepts. That's the best fusion. I know covering concepts and fundamentals are important, but if you are not integrating those concepts with the technology, you are not understanding what is going on. Otherwise, you are just grasping the definitions. You are just grasping the, you can say, all the terminologies. That's it. But how to use it? How to use it? This is the way to use it. Oh, this is the way to use it. So always try to integrate your fundamentals with a technology. It's really important. You can see in front of your eyes how different it is from your fundamentals. I know we are using fundamentals, but these things are not the part of fundamentals. These are the things these are the parts of a technology. And now you are integrating your knowledge with the technology. Make sense? Okay. So I will simply say external file format. Make sense? I'll simply say let's create external file format. It's very easy. You simply need to create external file format for, let's say, whatever you want to create. I want to create a packet and obviously a delta. What is delta? You will get to know obviously because in the gold layer we just serve our data in the form of delta. Okay. And I will simply say create external file format. Okay. And format name will be packet format. Okay. And then you will simply say with file format equals to packet. That's it. And then I think we need to also get the compression equals to compression, or there was the I think it was compression. And I think we do not need to write file format. We need to write maybe format type. And you can actually go here and simply confirm the code for external file format. See, format type. Oh yeah, data compression, not just compression. So this is the code that you can just use. You create your file format, and we simply need to use packet. And this is the snappy code which we use to compress our files, because whenever we just load the data in the packet format, we compress it. So I will simply copy this and I'll simply paste it here, and I'll simply rename it obviously because it is packet file format. Makes sense? So let's run this, and it is fine. Perfect. Now I will create one more for my delta file format. I will simply say delta. Okay. And here you need to write delta. And in delta, you do not perform any compression. So simply remove it. And now simply run this as well. Perfect. This is also fine. And let's create one more data source for our gold layer, right? Because we have one more container. I'll simply say gold source. Perfect. And obviously you need to change the container. We'll simply say gold. By the way, you simply need to remove this folder name and then you need to create it. Okay. Perfect. And from here as well, I will be removing this particular folder because it is always recommended to create the source, external data source till container level, but here it has created our external data source till folder level, which is wrong. So I'll simply drop this first, drop external data source, which is this one, and I will recreate it. I know it will work, but I want to just show you the best practices, so I cannot compromise with that, with your knowledge. So simply recreate it, and now it is fine. Perfect. Now I want to save it. So simply click Control S, or you can simply say publish. Click on publish, and it will be saved in your scripts. Go to develop, and you will see it here, external resources. Perfect. Your external data is fine now. See, now you are good to create your table. Now let's create our table in the silver layer on top of your Parquet file, and then you will be able to query the data. Okay. Now let's click on this and click on new SQL script and just name it as silver table. Make sense? Because so far we do not have any table. If you just go here, if you just click on workspace, SQL Data Warehouse, we do not have any tables, right? Let's create table. So go here, silver table, and obviously pick the database as Sales Data Warehouse, otherwise it will not work. So now let's create a table. I will simply say create external table, and I can also create a schema first, because obviously whenever we create a database, we should always create a schema. So let's create a schema. Create schema. I want to create schema called sales data warehouse dot silver. Make sense? And I want to create another schema called sales data warehouse dot gold. Make sense? Different schemas for different tables. That's how we work. So simply click on run. Oops, create schema. Why do we have here red? Let me just run this first only. Oh, makes sense. We do not need to write sales data warehouse because we have already selected it. So makes sense. Simply run this. Perfect. And now remove it from here and run this. Perfect. Now I will simply actually rename this file. Click on this properties and I'll simply say schemas, because there should be a dedicated script for schemas. Control S, and let's create one more script. Click on this three dots, new SQL script. Now let's create silver table. Okay, click on this properties again, and then simply click on create external table, and table name will be silver dot silver table. That's a good name. Or let's say ENR sales or enrich sales. Or let's say silver table. It make more sense. Silver table, right? So now what you need to do? You need to define the schema. Like, what is the schema of the file? I want to see that. Okay, that makes sense. That means we need to get the schema, right? Right? You need to get the schema. And now, because obviously whenever we create tables, we write the schema, right? And then a table gets created. So now you'll be saying, hey, if we do not know the schema, how we can just see the schema? So here comes the role of a function called Openrowset. So basically it looks like this. Openrowset function. So this function is very handy. If you ever want to query the files directly instead of tables, you can just use this function. It's called Openrowset function, which will give you the results. So let's say this is your data in the silver form, like in the silver folder. Simply right click on this and click on this SQL script and select top 100 rows. Click on this and you simply need to pick the file type. You will pick Parquet. Before clicking on apply button, let me just tell you what will happen. It will simply say select asterisk from Openrowset, and it will write bulk, and in the bulk it will simply put this file format, and it will simply say file format is Parquet. That's it. Let me just click on apply and you will see the code. See, so here is the thing. Here is the thing. So we can actually query the file as well directly instead of a table, and it is very handy when you just want to have a sneak peek on the data, and that's it. And here we need to make some changes. What's that? First of all, format equals to Parquet. This is nice. We need to put something called as data source. Really? Yeah. We need to simply put something called as data source equals to, we need to write the data source name, and it is silver. I think it's just silver, right? Yeah, because only then it will be able to fetch the results, because it needs to use the managed identity. Data source equals to this. Oh yeah, we need to, I think, use the underscore. Click on this. Silver, we do not have external data source. Are you serious? We have just created, oh, it's called silver source. I was like, are you serious? Are you serious? Okay, perfect. Just run this, and silver source not found. Now you're kidding me, bro. Wait, silvers. Oh, we are running in master. I was like, are you serious, bro? What's that? Content. Oh, makes sense. It is saying that content of directory on this cannot be listed. Why? So it happens when either you do not have access to this particular location, or let's say you are not an admin of that particular location. So how we can just get rid of this solution, like this problem? So what can be the problem? First of all, if you closely observe, I just mentioned this thing in the beginning, and I wanted to highlight this now. We have this source, and we know that this is giving us the location till container level, which is silver. Then why we are writing the whole code? Makes sense? Obviously, if we are just using this data source, we do not need to use this particular code till silver. Remove it and simply remove this, and we simply need to type this folder name. Now it should work. If this doesn't work now, then that means like something is wrong with the creation. Oh, it doesn't work. Cannot be opened or does not exist to use by the process. Okay, that makes sense. That means go to external sources. Yeah, I knew it. So now if you see, we have recreated the external data source, like external silver source, but we didn't remove this particular folder. So we need to remove it, because we need to simply say till container level. So first of all, drop the existing one, drop external data source, simply drop it, and then create it. Previous time we created it, but we didn't remove it. So now it should work. It is done. Now just try to query it. Now it should work. I'm so sure. Because we do not need to write the location again and again. We need to simply write the rest of the location, which is inside the container. See, now it works. So as you can see that we have these columns, and these columns are ready for us. So in order to create an external table, on top of, you can say, our data. So what we can do, we simply need to define this particular schema. So we will simply be saying that order ID, order date, customer ID, customer name, everything. And obviously this is of date type, and these are of, let's say, your float type or int type, and this is then again string. So we need to now create a schema using this particular thing. So now quickly write the schema here, and we know that it is order ID. Let me just define the table definition here, and don't worry, we will simply copy it on the other sheet, because we wanted to see this particular output. We'll simply say create external table, and table will be silver table. Perfect. I'll simply say order ID of varchar, or let's say 100, let's say. Okay, and then order date. I think I have the schema for this. Why I'm writing this again and again? Let me just grab it. I have the schema. Let me just write it for you, because you'll be saying, hey Ansh, you're doing on your own. Okay, customer ID, it will hardly take few seconds, bro. Customer ID, and this will be also varchar. Okay, let me just copy this varchar so that I can just reuse it multiple times. Okay, then you can simply say customer name, and I will just show you one more thing which is really important. So customer name, and then varchar, and customer email, and then this is also varchar, product ID. And this should be your question. If you have not in your mind, just think like what I can just ask, and it is related to schema. Okay, product category with varchar, and then region ID. Okay, and then varchar. I have this, so I can simply copy it, and then country, varchar, and then quantity. Quantity should be int, and unit price int. Okay, what's left? Total amount. Hey, is quantity int or what? I think it's not int. I don't think so. It's int. Okay, no worries. We can just see if that fails. I think it is varchar. Varchar 100. Okay, and then unit price, and then total amount. Total amount is int, and then domain. Perfect. 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 Let me just copy this. And let me just paste it here. Make sense? So now we are just trying to create this table, and now you need to just write all these three things that you have created with. First of all, you will write location. Location is just enriched. Remember this one, bro. Enriched sales. This is the folder, right? Enriched sales. Then you simply need to type that data source that you are using. Okay, so you will simply say data source underscore data source. Data source is silver source. Make sense? And then file format will be bucket that we have created, right? External file format. So I will simply run this command and let's see if we have any errors. It's not supported. Oh, yep. Simply pick data warehouse. Simply external data reference does not exist. What? Data source that does not exist. Which one? Data external. Oh, simply remove this underscore, because in some formats it doesn't work like this. Data source that does not enable external table reference. External data does not exist. Simply run this. No. What's the issue? What's the issue? External table references data source that does not exist. Oh, what's the name of this source? External resources. It's called silver source. Okay. Makes sense. Underscore was missing. Okay, it is created. Perfect. So now if you just go here to your database, click on external tables, click on refresh, and now you should see your table. Wow, you have successfully created table on top of the file. Whoa, man, whoa. Good job. Now you can just query this table like your normal table. First of all, save everything and click on publish. Now this table is behaving like your normal table. Can you just imagine like your normal table? So if you just go here and remove everything in the SQL script one, simply say select asterisk from your silver table. That's it. Click on run button. And are we using the right data warehouse? Yes, we are using right data warehouse. Are we using the correct spellings? No, we are using small s. Now run this. Silver, are we using the right data schema? Just go to a table and just see what's wrong, because it is saying location doesn't exist. So just a tip, whenever you see anything related to location, that means something is wrong with the URL, because we are just working with the files, right? So here we are not using any location. This is just the location only folder. What's wrong with it? Oh man, just look at the spelling. It's enriched sales. It's not enriched sales. Oh man. So we need to just drop this table. We simply need to say drop external table and just a typo. But yeah, that's how you learn. Simply read on this. Let's say recreate this. Perfect. So now table is created, but we cannot see the data. Why? Go to messages. Order date is of type date time 2, which is not compatible with external data type. Okay. Parquet physical type int 32. logical type is date. Okay, please try with date. Okay, so this is also recommending you some data type conversion, and it is saying you are using date time too. It is saying that use date time. So whatever recommendation it is giving, you should just take it. Sometimes it says use date time, sometimes it says use date time too. So it's all up to them, like how they just want to treat it. So simply drop it and create one more time with date time. Okay, that's not a big deal. So now you should see the data. And now what's the issue? Order date is of type date time. Okay. Oh, use date, not date time. Okay. Okay. That makes sense because my column is of date type, but I'm using date time and just saying, hey, where is time? It's only date. Now what's wrong? Packet physical type and 32. Logical type date. Oh, now I got it. Okay. I didn't read the error for the first time. So it is saying column order date is of type date time is not compatible with the external type. Yeah. Okay. It is saying the actual type is of int32. Oh, so in my Packet files, it is saved in the form of int32, but yeah, I can use date type. Okay. Let's use date. Not a big deal. I was just trying to force it to just convert it into date, but it will not because it is of int type. Okay. Sometimes you can just force it to create it, but it totally depends, like if the engine can convert your data type into that or not. It's just hit and trial, but it was not able to do that. Simply run, and now it should see the data because it's just date, and the actual type is int, so it cannot force it. So now we can see our data, and now we can just query the data. As you can see, you can simply query it, and it should work fine. So this what actually happened here? Do you know? Let me just revise your concepts. So this is the file. Okay, these are the files sitting here, and on top of it we have created a kind of logical layer. It's called logical table, which simply holds the metadata or the structured format, because obviously file is not a structured data type, right? So this table is of structured type, but it actually holds data in the form of files. And whenever you query this table, right, this is my silver table, it is returning this metadata plus the data from here. Make sense? Now the question to you is, let's say I want to create this table, but at the same time I want to change one column name, because in the Packet file it is called order ID, right? What if I want to say order underscore ID? Can we do that? Yes, we can do that. You can do it in the Openrowset function, because in that you get the leverage of defining the schema. Let's say just go to this one, and let's say I want to say select asterisk from Openrowset. Okay, and then obviously I will say bulk, and bulk will be just enriched sales. Makes sense. And then data source. Oops, let me just data source, and I'll simply say data source is silver source. Okay, makes sense. And then format equals to Packet. Makes sense. Let me just run it. Data source underscore Packet single quote from the clause. What? Correlation name must be set for the bulk row set from this bulk data source format. We just queried it, right? We can simply go to length, and we can simply go here, and we can simply say select top 100 rows Packet. I just want to show you how you can just specify this thing, like format is fine. So what's the difference in this? Data source is fine, silver source. Okay, bulk is fine. Now you can simply say as query one, because obviously you need to define the variable to your query, and you should see your data. Perfect. Now let's say you just want to rename any column, and you just want to rename one column. So obviously you would not like to rewrite the whole schema. So we have something called as with, in which you can simply say anything, order ID or order DI, anything, and just define the data type. Okay, and then say 100, and you now you just need to define the number, because you are giving a new name which is not available in this particular file. So we are defining, hey, this column should be mapped to or to the column with order number 1. So now when we just run this, you should see that particular column with your schema. See this schema. So whatever you will be putting here, only that column, only that table, only that particular set of attributes will be coming here with the updated name, because now we are saying, hey, just rename it with the column which is available at the position number 1. Makes sense? This is just an extra knowledge, but you should be aware of this. Now let me just close this because I do not want to save it. Now I want what I want to do now I will attach this particular script to my pipeline. What can we do that? Because obviously I have a data flow, right, which is of silver layer. The moment I transform my data, let's say this is my data, I want to create a table on top of it. Make sense? Obviously I want to transform my data, which will be in the file, and at the same time I want to create a table on top of it. So we have to take this script and we have to add the script to our pipeline. Can we do that? Yes. For that we have a pipeline called script, and now you are just learning something new, like how you can just embed script. It is very easy. And before doing that, let me just ask you one thing. Let's say this is my data flow which will be running, let's say, every day. Okay, now I want to run this script, this one, every day to create table on top of this data. Now just tell me one thing. Once this external table is created, do we need to create this again and again? Just tell me one thing. If everything is same, schema is same and like all the structure is same, do we need to? The answer is no. Because what we are trying to do, this data flow will be transforming this data and will be creating this particular, let's say, new file, but our external data structure will remain the same. And now you know why. Because this is just an external table, which is a logical table which just carries the structure, or let's say which just carries the skeleton of the table. The actual files are here. So the moment we are getting new and new files, we are happy. But still we need to make this script a part of our pipeline, because at least you'll be creating this table for the first time, at least. So we need to modify this script in such a way that this table will be created only once, and once it is created, we do not need to worry about to create this table again and again. Got it? So let's say, let's go to data, okay, and let's go to workspace and this table. So now we know that this table is created. So now if this table is not here, then we want to run this script in the pipeline. But if it is there, we do not need to do anything. So we need to build that logic. And how we can just build that? We have something called as views. Okay, just go to system views and you will see a lot of views here. Just expand it and you will see system.tables. Just search it, system.sys.tables basically. So we have all these system built views that we get. Okay, and I'm just trying to find sys.tables and sys.schemas. So I found it, sys.schemas. Okay, and the other one is sys.tables. Here, perfect. So what we need to do, because whatever table we register in our database, it will be registered here as well in the sys.tables and in the sys.schemas with its schema. So what we will do, we will simply apply an if condition. And if you are a SQL developer, you would know about this statement, I'm so sure. We will simply say if not exists, what not exist. Now we need to put that query, and before writing this query, I will just show you as well, don't worry. Select asterisk from, okay, from sys.tables, make sense, then join that table with sys.schemas, and let's give an alias here T, and let's give an alias here S on t.schema id, because in the table we have schema id. okay, equals to s dot schema id. Make sense? And we will simply say where t dot table name, or let's say t dot name, equals to this silver table, because this is the table. Make sense? And s dot schema equals to silver. Okay, so we need to just do this. And before writing this, I will just show you one thing. First of all, let me just indent it. Perfect. So now when we just run this, it will only be running if and only if this particular table and schema is not available in the repository. So if we just run this particular command alone, let me just run this command. First of all, just to show you, let's go to the scripts and just go to create new SQL script. Just paste it here and let's see what happens. See, now you will see all the things: name, object ID, principal ID, everything. Let's first print t dot asterisk. Let me show you what is there in the t sys dot tables. So we have table name. So these are all the table names that we have so far. Now you will saying, hey, we didn't create these tables. So basically, bro, these are the tables that we have within the system as well. So it is not just about your tables. Okay, then we have this object ID, and then we have so many things like schema ID as well, and so many other things. And here you should see schema ID as well. And yeah, name basically is just the table name that we have. So in order to just find the table, you can simply switch to Sales Data Warehouse and just run it, and you will see your table name, silver table. Okay, and that was just a master. I just wanted to show you that we have some built-in tables as well. It's not just about the tables that we create are the only tables. No, I will simply say t dot name and t dot schema ID, and you will see this schema ID is 5. Now I will simply say s dot schema name. Yeah, s dot schema name. I think schema name is not the right column. It's called name, I guess. I think so. Perfect. Yeah, name. So this is the table name. This is the schema name. So if this exists, then it will not be creating anything. Why? Because we are using if not exist. If this doesn't exist, then only it needs to simply create it. And by the way, it's not s dot schema, it's called s dot name, because we have just queried it. So if I just run this now, what will happen? Just tell me what will happen. It will not create the table, right? Simply run this. Yes, but it will not throw the errors as well. If we do not write this statement, this one, it will simply throw the error, and it will say, hey, we already have a table. Why do you want to create another table? So that is why we use this command. Okay, now we can simply save the script by clicking on publish. And now it is just publishing this. And now I will simply make this script as a part of my pipeline. And we do not need to save this script too. Okay, just ignore it. Now I will simply go to my pipeline, transformation layer. Now I will simply say script. Make sense? I will simply attach it here, and I will simply say silver table. Make sense? And I will simply connect this with my data flow. So once the data flow is running, it will simply add this table. Make sense? And how we can just run this? We can simply say parameters, and obviously we do not have any parameters, variables, schema settings, and just go here and settings, and then settings, linked service. So it is now asking me to create a linked service, and we do not have any kind of linked service so far. With your serverless SQL pool, you need to create one. You will simply say plus new, and this time you will simply pick maybe Azure Synapse Analytics. Yeah. So sometimes it doesn't work with this one. Then you have to put your credential, or let's say your URL in your SQL database. So sometimes it throws error. Let's try with this one for now. Let's see if it works. Click on continue. I will simply say ls and with serverless. Okay. And now Azure subscription, this one. And currently it is saying that server name is, what was the server name? Okay, I don't think so it is available here, so we will simply say enter manually. And now we need to just add a domain name. So how we can just get the domain name? Simply go to your Azure go to your resource group and just click on this Synapse SQL workspace, and here you will see that particular credential. See, serverless SQL endpoint. Simply copy this and simply paste it here, and then database name. My database name is sales data warehouse, right? And SQL authentication, we can just pick SQL authentication, not a big deal. And I can simply say admin Ansh and then password. Let's see, encryption optional. Okay, and then test connection. Let's simply first test the connection. Yeah, it's successful. Click on create. So now it is done almost. Now it's done. So now we will simply add the script here, whatever you want to run. So simply go to your scripts, this one, copy this and paste it here. Paste it here. That's it. Click on add dynamic content and paste it here. Simple. This is your script. Click on OK. This is your script. So if you want to test it, you can actually test it. I will simply deactivate this one first. Why? Because I know my data is transformed, so I do not want to do it again. I just simply want to test this script. Click on debug and you should see your script is running without any errors. If everything is fine, and your table shouldn't be affected because it is already there, but it should not throw any errors. And we should be able to query the table after this. And once it is done, our silver layer is also ready. Now we'll be just working with the gold layer and we'll be just breaking this table into fact and dimension table. Don't worry, I will just talk about fact and dimension table in detail, very much in detail. And let's actually see what are this. Okay, done. Very well done. It has succeeded. Let's test it. First of all, let's publish it. Okay. Let's publish it first. And once it is done, then we will simply query it. I'll simply go to my data. By the way, that if condition was really important. Just note it down. Okay. This table, click on these three dots, new script, select 100 rows, 1000 rows, whatever it was. Click on run and let's see if we are able to query the data. Let's see. Yes. Boom. Now you know how to create external data, Openrowset functions, how to change the schema and everything. Everything. Very good. So now we just need to complete our last stage, which is breaking the one big table into fact and dimension. And let me just tell you what are those things. What is a fact table? What are dimension tables? How we need to apply the join. So let's talk about that. And it's not a rocket science, just simple thing. Just be with me. I'll just explain you everything. So now let's talk about the gold layer and basically the data model that we present in the gold layer. And first of all, we need to understand some concepts. And if you already know those concepts, it's very good to revise and it would be really helpful for the beginners. And let's go to our PPT. So basically we have successfully performed the incremental data, transform data, everything. Now it's time to just actually go to the core layer, right? And within this, I have already told you that we create a kind of data model. So basically, what is data modeling? What is data modeling? So as you know that in our scenario as well, we have like one big table in which we have so many columns, right? We have information for everything. We have information for our orders, products, categories, customers, location, country, everything, right? Yes. So if you are just like, let's say, dealing with not so big data, then obviously you can work without data model. It's fine. Because I have seen like companies use one big tables for their core layer as well. I have seen this and it's okay just to use like one big table for like smaller data sets. But if you're just building some scalable solutions, you should always go with data model. And data model is nothing but just kind of representation, like how our data is stored. We need to create, you can say, entities. We need to break our big table into small entities, and we need to apply the logic to join those entities logically, not physical joins, logical joins. And those are also called as relationships in Power BI, and in all the other BI tools as well, we have some relationships. So basically this is a kind of data modeling that we need to do. Now there are so many data modeling techniques available, and every domain uses a totally different technique. So without delaying, let me just show you the types of data models. Okay, so basically there are three layers, you can say, or let's say three types of data models. First of all, the conceptual data model. What is conceptual data model? Conceptual data model is just like a concept. When you do not have clear understanding, but you know that you will be having one table for orders, you will be having one table for customers, you will be having one table for country. You have a concept, that's it. Or you can say on paper data model. Got it? That you know that okay, you will be just receiving this data, you will be just storing data like this, and you have like high level overview of the data model that you will be building. Or let's say your business, and this conceptual data model will be coming from the business side, because you need to gather the requirements from the business, like how they want to use this data. And you may need to include some data analyst as well, like how they will be just reporting that data. So it will be more from the upstream, like let's say a business, or maybe from the downstream data analyst. You have lesser work to do at this level. Once you get some concept, then you as a data engineer can decide what kind of logical data model you want to pick. Here you have the choices. You can either pick normalization. Okay, normalization, which we do not actually pick being a data engineer, because normalization is like performed by the DBAs, which is who are like database analysts, who are not data engineers or data analysts. Normalization is again applied on your databases, not data warehouses. So database means like the one that we use for the source, which is good for the writes, not for the reads. Okay, because in that we do not need any kind of redundancy, because obviously we are just storing data again and again, so we do not want to just store data multiple times. Make sense? But we have something called as dimensional data model, which we use as a data engineer. So this is very popular data model that we pick, and it is also called as Kimball's data model, because it was introduced by Kimball in 1980s, if I'm not wrong. And the very popular name of this is facts and dimension. Why? Because this is a kind of data model in which your tables will be distributed as a fact table and multiple dimensions table. Okay, don't worry, we'll be just talking about this in detail, and we will be actually building this, and I will just show you how you can just build it in Synapse. Then we have physical, like the real data model that we have. Like once it is built, it is there on the server, it is there on the data warehouse, it is there on the application, it is there like physical, in the physical form. Because here we are just building the logic, but here we are actually building those entities. So these are basically three layers of data models, and you can say a kind of hierarchy that we follow. And these are the two most popular data models, dimensional data model and normalization. Normalization is more used by DBAs, database analysts. Dimensional data modeling is the one that we use, like data engineers. Make sense? Okay, now let's talk about fact table first of all. Ansh Lamba, you just talked about like fact table and dimension tables. We do not know anything about fact table, dimension table. Just tell us what is that. Okay. Okay. So basically, let me take the same example. We have the one big table, right? Okay. We have so many columns, right? Okay. So what we will do, we need to break this big table. Make sense? Okay. In the fact table, we will store only and only numerical columns. First thing. Second, joining keys, or you can say surrogate keys. Then what you can store? Nothing else. Yes. This is the formula of fact table. In the fact table, only and only numerical data, so that we can actually perform some kind of numerical operations. We can just find max, min, sum, whatever you want. Only and only numerical columns will be there in your fact table, and that's it. Along with that, obviously you need surrogate keys, because only then you will be able to create the dimensions and join it. So for now, we have not talked about dimensions. So for now, just imagine that we just have numerical columns. That's it. Make sense? So just pick the numerical columns. Let's say this, and this is numerical column. Make sense? Okay, very good. So these are numerical columns 1, 2, and 3. That's it. Only these columns will be there in my fact table. Make sense. Make sense. What will happen to other tables? Just telling you. Wait. Let's talk about dimension table. Now let me just redraw that table. So this was our table. Okay. Now dimension table is very special. Why? Basically, we know that our all the numeric columns are gone because that will be taken by fact table. Okay, take it. Now rest of the columns will be going to different dimension tables. What do I mean? Let's say this column and this column are talking about, let's say, let me just pick pink color. Geography. Let's say these two columns are talking about geography. Okay. Let's say these three columns are talking about, customers. Okay. Now let's say this column is talking about, let's say anything. Let's say category, product category, anything. Okay. Make sense? So now each dimension table will actually hold each context. Let me repeat. Each dimension table will be holding one context. So that means we will be creating one separate dimension table for this, one separate dimension table for this, and one separate dimension table for this. That means each dimension table will be holding the context. Okay, each dimension table will be holding a separate context. It cannot be repetitive. If it is like related, it needs to go in that particular dimension table. And wait, let me just, yeah, now it's good. Okay. So each dimension table holds a different context, which is independent of the other dimension tables. Make sense? Okay. So now we know that we will be creating dimension tables. So this dimension table will be holding some joining key, let's say country ID, let's say. So now just tell me one thing. In order to now join this table to our fact table, we would need a joining key. Okay, so that's why in the fact table we just store all the numerical columns plus keys. Now, Ansh Lamba, we have understood fact table and dimension table. That's fine. We have also heard about star schema, snowflake schema. What's that? Basically, when it's just about the representation of our dimension table and fact table. Okay, let me show you. So this is our star schema. Just have a look and just observe for 3 seconds what is happening. Okay, time is up. Basically, when you have one fact table and multiple dimension tables which are directly connected to the fact table, it actually represents the shape of a star. That is why it is called a star schema. It is also called a star dimensional data model. But you can say, in short, we just say star schema. That's it. Star schema is just the type of dimensional data model. That's it. Okay. And this is the most, in the 90% of the cases, you will be using star schema. In the 90% of the cases. In the 10% of the cases, you will create snowflake schema. What is that? In snowflake schema, there will be one fact table and dimension tables will be there. But in this particular dimension table, if you just observe it, you will see a hierarchy of dimension. That means dimension 5 is linked to dimension 3, not to the fact table, just to the dimension 3. And then dimension 3 is connected to fact table. So this creates a kind of snowflake, and that is why we just call it as snowflake schema. We rarely create this because it is very difficult to manage this particular kind of data model, but we have, like, in 10% of the scenarios, we deal with this. But in 90% of the cases, snowflake schema, like in the 90% of the cases, you will only use star schema. Trust me. Makes sense? So now, Ansh Lamba, concepts are clear. Now just help us to build the same in the Synapse. Okay, let's do it. So let's jump onto our Synapse and let's actually build it. Okay. So now, first of all, I will simply close all the tabs because I want some space. Okay, perfect. So now, as you know that we have two schemas, right? Silver and gold. And we have already populated some everything like in silver. Now let's populate our gold layer. Okay. And now I will simply go to develop tab and let's delete these two scripts because these are just like, we were just testing it if you remember. Yeah, just querying it because it simply says when we just say publish all. But remember, if you are not giving a good name to it, it will randomly just create =1, =2. So simply remove it in order to eliminate any confusions in the future. You'll be thinking, hey, why this script is here and did I do something? So just remove it. Simply click on plus button and click on this and create a new script, and we will simply say gold dimensions, or let's say dimensions only, because first of all we create dimensions, only then we can just create fact table because we need to apply the join, right? So dimensions, and then yeah, perfect. So in order to create dimension table, first of all pick this data warehouse. Okay, so before creating the dimension tables, let me just show you our real data so that you can actually see, hey, this is right, we need to create a table on top of this, we need to pick these columns, so you need to behave like this, right? So what we will do, I will simply first of all query our silver table because silver table is our source for gold table, right? Right. So I will simply say select asterisk from silver dot silver table. Perfect. Simply run this. Perfect. Now, Mr., Miss, Mrs., whatever, just tell me one thing. This is my table, right? One big table. Okay. Just have a look from left to right. Okay. Just tell me one thing. Give me one dimension, or let's say one context, and it is very common. You have just 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, over. The answer is customers table, right? We have customer ID, customer name, customer email. Make sense? So now what we need to do, we simply need to create a dimension table for customers where we need to include 1, 2, 3 and one more column. What's that? Fourth one, this one. Okay, because remember we could just created a new column for this called domain, so this will be a part of that customer column because it is giving you some context for the customer only. That's it. Domain is for customer, not for like any company or any order. So just IQ. Okay, so now this is fine, and in order to create our table using silver table and just picking few columns, what should be the approach and what we can actually do in order to do that, like how we should just proceed. Let me just tell you how you should just proceed. For that, we have something called as, like the concept, it's called CETAS. CETAS stands for create external table as select. Very good. So this is the revolutionary thing, and let me just tell you the architecture because it is very rare if you will find the architecture for this, like how actually it performs everything behind the scenes. Okay, how it performs. So basically, when I say, let's say what we are using this as a source, right? Silver table. So okay, if I say I want to create an external table and I want to say as select on top of this silver table, makes sense? And it will simply create my gold table. Don't worry, I will just show you the demonstration as well. Don't worry, I'm just giving you a high level overview. It will create a gold table like this. But what will happen? Now you know, whenever you want to create a table, you want to give 3 things. Location, okay, and data source and file format is different story. Location, this is important. So what it will do, it will first like query this data based on the select statement, whatever you will be writing here. Then it will simply store this data at this location. Okay, then once this data is here, then it will create external table on top of it. This is the flow, just remember. Okay, let's create now. So in order to create the table, basically the dimension dim customers, what I need to do, I need to simply say select customer ID. Okay, then I want customer name. Okay, then I want customer email. Yeah, okay, then I want domain. Yes, I will also use one more thing, which is distinct. Why? Because obviously there can be like duplicate customers, like one customer can come many times, and as you can see 102 102. So just remove duplicates in your dimensions and there should not be any kind of duplicates. Make sense? Very good. Okay, so now let me just query this from silver table. Make sense? This is my select statement, bro. Just the select statement. And here we will see the result and non-duplicates. Very good. This should be my dimension table. Very well done. This should be my dimension table. Okay. Now I will add one more thing, which is row number over order by your customer ID. Let me just run this. And obviously I need to just rename it. And I will simply say dim key, dim customer key. Okay. What is this? What is this? This is basically called as surrogate key that we create. So just tell me one thing. We have here customer ID, right? Yes. So obviously this is the primary key of this table. Yes. And if we just want to join this table with our fact table, obviously we'll be using this key, this column. Yes. Actually, no. We can use this column, but we do not use it. Why? Because in this particular scenario, this key is very small, or this key is not very complex. In some cases, let's say customer key is generating and it is of, let's say, 10 digits, 20 digits, 30 digits, 50 digits. And it can happen when we just generate data from the systems, let's say from Amazon or from any system, from any, you can say, those applications, it can generate data like this, and you would have already seen this. So instead of, it is a general practice, it is not my decision, it is a general practice that you should also know. And this can be your interview question as well, like what is a surrogate key and why do we need it? In order to apply joins, we want our life simple and we need to just define a simple key. So now this particular 102 is replaced by 3. See, it is so simple. Now when you will be applying the join will be so smooth. Are you getting my point? So we every time just provide a kind of integer, unique integer to every record. So this is our practice. We first remove the duplicates using distinct, then we just add the surrogate key. Surrogate key is nothing but just a kind of pseudo column that we use to apply the join. That's it. And this dim key will be there in our fact table because we do not want to keep this customer ID in our fact table. No, it doesn't make any sense. There should be only key, and this is called surrogate key. Okay, I know now you will be thinking, hey, this was so simple. Yeah, I know. Then just hit the subscribe button right now, and by the way, just drop a lovely comment right now. So this is my table. Now on top of it, I want to create my table. So I will simply write create external table. Okay. And this time schema will be gold and this will be my dim customer table. Make sense? And I will simply say as. That's it. This is your query. This is your query. Okay. And just to remind you, what's the good practice to use any SQL statement to create table? Using that if condition, what we say, if not exists, okay, then what we need to do, select asterisk from sys.tables, okay, t join sys.schemas, okay, s on t.schema id equals s.schema id, where t.name equals what? This one, dim customer. Very good. And s.name equals gold. So if there is already a table, then do not create. If it doesn't, then create this. Simply run this. It is saying incorrect syntax, yes. Incorrect syntax, yes. So now what do we need to do? This statement is incomplete, by the way. For now, we are creating external table, right? And we have defined our select statement. That's fine. Now we also need to define some things which are with location, obviously. And what will be the location? Location will be, let's say, dim customer folder. That's it. And we have already a data source. If you remember, we created the data source. Data source is gold source, and file format. File format is delta. We will be using delta. Why? Because it is always recommended to create a delta format, or let's say delta file, data in delta format, whenever you just want to create our gold layer or anything. Okay. So now let's try to run this. What's the issue? Maybe we just need to add brace as select this from this. Okay, let me just add this. So we also need to close this, or not here, simply here. Yeah, now let's try to run this. No, as this. Okay, I think we need to just move this with condition here. Let me just remove it. And because obviously we're just creating external table and we do not have any kind of schema to define, and we need to say with this as see. Yeah, I thought so, because we are just creating, we are simply focusing this on like table creation first, create external table. Then obviously here we do not have any kind of schema, because whenever we just use create external table as select, we do not provide any schema. Then we simply say with. Once table is created, we are saying as select. Perfect. Let me just run this. External file format delta has format type delta, which is not supported by create external table as select statement. What? External file format delta has format type equals to delta, which is not supported by create external table as select statement. Oh, really? Earlier it was supported. I don't know if they have just made any changes. Let me just put bucket, because actually whenever we just create our gold layer, we actually create it through data flows if you want to use delta file format. But earlier I was just able to use it. I don't know if they have just made any changes. I will just go through the documentation. Let me just run this. If this was the issue. Yeah, this was the issue. So they are saying that because that feature was in preview before. So now if you just want to, it is new for me as well. So now if you just want to create external table, and if you just want to use create external table as select, you cannot use delta file format. Okay. And you have to use bucket file format if you just want to use create external table as select. Obviously, if your data is in the delta format, you can obviously create external table on top of it, because that's what we do. Okay. So yeah, everything is fine. So basically you can anytime create external table on top of delta data. Delta data. But if you are just using CETAS, you cannot create or convert the file into delta format. So basically this is the latest note that you can just mark in your notebook. Okay, so let's try to actually see, is our data ready? Like, can we just query it? Let me just go here and simply say select asterisk from gold dot dim customer. Okay, simply query this and you should see the result if everything is fine. And oh, perfect. So now we have customer ID, customer name, customer email, domain, and dim customer key, which is very, very good. So now I want you to just create other dims as well. So let's create together. And first of all, let me just remove this select statement from here. Okay. And let me just save this because I want to save my progress. Okay. So now in order to do this, what we will be doing, first of all, we will simply go to obviously here in dimensions, and in the dimensions, I will simply mark it as dim customer so that we can actually see the comments, because comments are really, really important. You will forget it, like what you have done like last month. So this is dim customer. Okay. Now let me just copy this and let me just paste it here. And let me just say dim. What should be the next dim? Let's see, maybe dim products, because I see something for products, but I will simply ask you, don't worry. So I will simply create dim product, but before that, I will query the table for once again, select asterisk from silver table. Okay, let's query this and let's see, because you will be the one who will be creating dimension. Now, what should be the next dimension? I've already given you the hint, but still, just tell me the columns that I should use. Okay, let me just drag it. Just tell me what should be the columns. So if your answer is product ID, product name, product category, that's it, then very good. So now we need to simply create a table for product ID, product name, and product category. Make sense? Very good. So now simply remove the select statement with product ID and product name. Okay, and then product category, and then we have, yeah, that's it. We can remove domain and then row number, and this time it will be dim product key. Make sense? Very good. And let me just see, let me remove this as well. And here we need to change dim product because this is dim product, and schema should be same, and location should be this time dim product. And don't worry, I'll just show you the real files that it is creating for us. It is not just a view, it is real files. Okay, now let me just run this. Let me just select this and run it. Dim customer. Oh, see, we just forgot to remove something from dim customer. Oh, see, we simply need to remove this as well. Dim product. Let's rerun this. Okay, click on run. Dim product. Okay, I got it. So now what happened? Okay, this error actually will tell you the flow, and it will actually confirm that what is the flow. So what happened? It says, let me show you the error. Okay, it is saying that this location is already populated. That means first I showed you the flow, right? And this is the validation for that. First, it writes your data for this query on this location. Then it creates external table on top of it. And same thing happened. It wrote our data to the location, but when it was trying to create the table and the name was dim customer, so actually it was not able to create the table. Makes sense? So what we need to do, we simply need to go to the data lake and simply go to your data lake, go to containers. Okay, and then simply go to gold and you will see real folders, and we simply need to delete this. That's it, because now we are simply rerunning this dim product, and simply run this. Perfect, it ran successfully and we know that it is fine. Now let me just query this table for one more time for another dim, and you will tell me what should be the next dim. So this is like select asterisk from silver table. Okay, perfect. So now what will be the next table? So the next table will be geography. Because we have country, we have region ID. Just these two columns. That's it. Just these two columns. Region ID and country. That's it. Let's create this. Do we have anything else? No. Okay. Region ID and country. Okay, let's create this. So I'll simply first of all remove this and copy, oops, copy this dim product, and this time it will be dim region, or let's say geography. Geography is a better name. Okay. Okay, very good. So simply carefully remove everything. Geography, geography, and then geography, and yeah, here as well, dim geography key. Very good, very good. Now obviously we need to simply say region ID. Okay, and then country. Country, very good. Simply first of all, what is this? Okay, comma. First of all, try to select this and simply see if it is running fine. Okay, this is running fine, and this should be our dimension. It is nice. And oh, there are some distinct, like there are some duplicates. Okay, and we are running. Oh, I see. It's fine, because in the region we need to apply. So basically, what is the primary key here? If you can observe, the primary key is not just region ID, it's region ID plus country. See, so in these kind of scenarios, this is very handy because we simply need to join on this. So 9 means region ID plus Japan, because we can have multiple region IDs for the same country. So let's say 303 region ID for Japan and 303 region ID for India as well. Okay, 301 region ID for Canada, 301 region for USA. Why? Because region is just like east, west, north, south, north, north, north. Open your mouth, Ansh, north. So it is just like the region, east, west, north, south. No, again north, north, east, west, north, south. Okay, it's fine. This time it's fine. Okay, so basically there are like 4 regions: east, west, north, south. Okay, and we can have like same you can say region, right, in different countries. So that is why our primary key is the combination of both. So that is why in order to bring this key, we need to apply join on the both columns. So just remember this thing while applying the join. Okay, that is why dim keys are very, very handy. That is why. Okay, so now we can create the table, because now I think everything is fine. And what is this? What is this? Why I'm seeing 2 times file format? Maybe I just copied wrong. Yeah, it is fine here. From region ID. Okay, so maybe it is just copying this 2 times. That's not a big deal. So let me just run this. It should just run fine. No, again dim product Ansh Lamba. Oh man. So you know what you need to do. Yes, we simply need to go here and oh, geography. We simply need to remove that folder, because otherwise you will see the same error. Yep. So let's create this. Perfect. So our all the 3 dimensions are ready. Basically, let me show you something else. And this is really a kind of bonus tip that you will rarely see anywhere else. And I also like learned this like with my experience, and this was really new to me as well. And this is not even in the books. This will come with the experience. And let me just tell you what's that. So I will be querying this table, silver table. Okay, very good. Okay, perfect. So now just tell me one thing. One table is this one. Okay, one table is product. Okay, one table is country. Makes sense. And obviously these units will be going to the fact table, but there is still one table, right? order date, like one column order date. And that's not a big deal. Basically, we can even create a different dimension for order date. That's not a big deal. We can even create right now as well. The point is, we have dimension customer, which will give the customer details or customer, you can say context. We have dim product. Okay. We have dim region or geography. If I want dim orders context, how I will get it? Let me repeat. So these dimensions are good if I just want to find customers context, product context, geographical context. What if I want to find the context on the whole orders table? So here comes the role. Whenever we model our data, we create different dimensions because we break the one big table into dimension and fact table. We should always create one more dimension, which is the mandatory dimension. It's called dimension orders, which will simply hold all the columns, obviously other than your numerical columns, all the columns, order date, customer ID, customer name, customer email, product ID, product name, product. Why? Because this is the context related to order. I want to find the context of the order and I want to see, hey, for my order, what was the customer email? What was the customer name? What was the category? What was the product name? This is the context related to the orders, not specific to product, customer, geography. No, whole orders. Just remember this thing. Okay, this is just a tip for you. So now we'll be creating dim orders and we'll simply put all the columns in this. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that. And let me just say dim orders. Okay, and dim orders. Okay, and dim orders. Very good. Dim orders. And then here we need to just specify all the columns and the key will be dim orders key. Dim orders or orders. Okay, so now I'll simply say distinct order ID and let me say order ID. Okay, and here actually we do not need to use distinct because in this particular case we usually get the primary key and primary key is order ID itself, so there's no need to use distinct. Okay, that's the best thing about this kind of dim. And then we can simply say order ID is done. Then we can simply add customer ID. Okay, then you will simply see, you can use distinct, the result will be same. I can just show you as well, don't worry. Customer name. Okay, then I'll simply say customer email. Then I'll simply say product ID, product name, and then product category. Okay, this is also done. What's left? Region ID is done, country is done, and domain. Perfect. Let me just show you the query. If I just run this, syntactical error. What's that? Oh, comma. So let me just run this, and you should see the 9 records. Okay. And this is our dim orders key 1 2 3 4 5 5 6 7 8 9. Even if I use distinct, the result will be same because we have the primary key here and the result will be same. Still, I can just show you distinct. Okay, let me just run this, and here you will see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, just the 9 records. 8 4 3 6 7 1 2 9 5. Yeah, everything is fine. Okay, so we can even keep it, just keep it. So this is our dim. Let me just create dim orders. Click on run. So yeah, our dimensions are like, all the dimensions are ready. Let me just click on publish all and let now create the fact table. Now let's create the fact table. Like how we can just create the fact table, because it is very fun. When we just create fact table, it is really fun because we are actually applying joins and we are actually getting only the keys. And in the fact table, we need to just write all the joining conditions, and I love creating fact tables. So let me just create a new script. Okay, click here and simply choose sales data warehouse and let's say fact. fact. Perfect. Now let me just query the table. Select asterisk from silver table, because obviously this is our source for fact table as well. Okay, so this is our data. Now what we need to keep, let's keep it one by one. Okay, I will simply say select. Do we need to keep order ID? Not really, because we have dim orders. So we'll simply get what order key. I will simply say dim orders key. Okay, from which table? From obviously orders table. So I am just using O as an alias. Okay, very good. Now order date, we can just simply skip it, because the order date will be found in the orders dimension. We can even create a different dimension, but yeah, that doesn't make any sense to create a dimension for just one column, so that's fine. Now the second thing is customer ID. So instead of calling all these columns, now what do we need to call? Just the customer dim key. So I'll simply say c dot dim customer key. See, perfect. Now for product, instead of using all these three columns, we will simply say p dot dim product key, right? And then for country, we'll simply say geography for g dot dim geography key. Makes sense? Very good. Now obviously we need quantity as it is. Okay, quantity as it is, unit price, because this is a numeric column, total amount. Perfect. Makes sense? Very good. From what? From silver table. Makes sense? Now comes the part when we need to just pull the tables. I'll simply say left join. Let's apply the join with the first table. And what is the first table? It's called gold dot dim orders, right? On, and let's write on here in the same line, on, and let me just give here S, which is our sales, or let's say yeah, or let's say fact, F for fact. Okay, F for fact. So I'll simply say F, and I will simply say F dot order ID equals O dot order ID. Make sense? Very good. If I just run this, you will see that obviously it will not work for now because we have other dependencies as well. Let's just complete that first, and then we will just see the result at the end. Then obviously left join, you will simply apply join with gold dim customers, dim customer. Okay, and it will be C on F dot customer ID equals C dot customer ID. Makes sense? Okay, now third dimension, left join. You are actually building the data model. Okay, so you should feel some happiness, because that's the final step of our data model. We can simply say gold dot dim product P on F dot product ID equals to P dot product ID. Now this is critical because we have two columns involved in this. We'll simply say gold dot dim geography G on F dot there were two columns, right? Region ID equals F dot region ID and F dot country, if you remember, equals, oh, I just put FF, so here it is, it should be G, and then F dot country equals G dot country. Make sense? Now let's actually see the result of the select statement. Dim geography, oh, spelling mistake. Okay, let me just run this and we should see the result. Yes, Perfect. Actually not, because I can see multiple duplicates and I should not see those duplicates. And let's see what's the issue, because we should only see the 9 records and I can see like multiple dim orders key for like 1 1 1, and that should not be the case. Is there anything wrong on the join? Gold dim orders O on f dot order id equals to O dot order id. Okay, this is fine. And customer ID, product ID, and region ID, f dot country, g dot country. I think so, but I think this is fishy. Let's remove it. Let's comment it out and let's see if we see the desired output after this. And let me just comment it out and let's see, because when we just apply joins with so many tables, we see this kinds of these kinds of issues. So no need to worry. Okay, we are simply seeing issue with like now as well. So maybe we need to just do one by one removal and we need to see like where's the issue. Okay, so now what we'll do, we will simply comment it out and we will simply add keys one by one. So let's apply join with this one, order ID. Let's see if we get the results that we are looking for. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Yes, so far it is good. Okay, now let's add customer key, and yes, now just add customer key, and customer dimension is here. Let's see if it breaks or if it is fine. Customer key, like how many records? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. No, it is breaking. Okay, so the customer key maybe is the culprit. Let me just check. Then I think something is wrong with the dimension. So let's try to query the dimension. What do we have in this? Because if we have like duplicates in dimension, then obviously this will break, right? Gold dot dim customer. So that's the best learning, when you just see the errors while just reaching to the final stage. Oh, I can see duplicates. So 102 here, 102. Okay, and 102 here as well. Oops, 102 here as well. Okay. So that means, oh, basically what is happening, I got it. We are just using distinct here, like we are just using distinct here, and this is the row number, right? So actually we need to apply row number after this distinct. So I got it. We just need to simply make a small fix. So what we need to do, as you can see that this distinct is including this row number as well. That's what we do not want to include, because what it is doing, it will simply add this row number first and then it will apply distinct. And obviously in the row number, we have a unique identifier in each row. That makes sense. So what we need to do, we need to simply use this query on top of this query. So here you need to use subquery. So how it works, we will simply wrap this query inside a subquery, and that is just the fundamental thing in SQL. And we'll simply say select asterisk and this row number. Now just query this. I think this should work. This should give us the desired output. Must specify table to select from. Oh, just write from. Yup, perfect. We need to use subquery here. I'm so sure. And it is saying incorrect syntax near. Where? So from this, or maybe we just need to use a t or kind of variable. So, and here we can just remove it. So select, so this is working fine. Let me just run the inner query first and then we will see the subquery. Yeah, this is working fine. So see, this is the output. This is the output that I'm looking for. Once it is done, then I want to apply this row number. Got it? So I'll simply say t.customer ID. Okay, let's try to run this. Okay, perfect. Now I can see the 7 records. Perfect. This was small fix and this was really a good one. So how we can just change all the other tables? First of all, I need to drop this table. So I'll simply say drop external table and just put this name, which is gold. Okay, simply run this. Perfect. And let's simply recreate this table. Oops. Yep, perfect. Simply recreate. Oh yeah, because we need to clean all the dimensions. Let's clean all the folders because we will be dropping all these. Let's delete this and let's create this one. Perfect. It is done. Now we need to do the same stuff with all the tables. So what I will do, I will simply copy this because I think it will be easier to copy it. So I will simply change this query in dim product as well. So I will simply say, or yeah, let's do this. Simply change it with this one. And here we can simply say on product ID. Yeah, makes sense. This was a good catch. Okay. And just write product key, and we here need to write product ID and then product name, then product category. Perfect. Remove the domain. Very good. And obviously, first of all, try to query this and see the results. Perfect. It is working fine. It has 8 records. Very good. Now we'll simply drop this table. And here we go. Very good. Perfect. Let's recreate this table. Yeah, let's recreate this table till here. Yep, perfect. Perfect. It is fine. Now let's do the same stuff with geography as well. And I can simply create it from here. No need to copy. Okay, so now simply say this encapsulate, simply T, and simply write select asterisk and then that thing. Oops. Then that thing. Row number. Yep. Row number over region ID. Okay, I think here if you just observe closely, so basically dim product key and then we have dim geography key, and here we have as here from. Let's try to query this. First of all, the inner query, because this table is critical because we have 2 columns involved. Okay, so now you can see all the things are fine. Now let's just query this and let's see everything is fine. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Yes, everything is fine. Now let's create this table. Ups. Okay, this is also done. That's how you fix the bugs, right? And being a data engineer, you need to just fix lots of bugs. Don't worry. Really? Yeah. Trust me. And this is fine because here we do not need to actually use the distinct because everything is fine with the row number because we have exact number of records. This is fine, but still we have just dropped the folder. So let's drop the table as well. And then we can simply recreate it. Okay, fine. Perfect. Let me just run this. Okay, perfect. Let's now create our fact table and let's remove all the comments because I know this should work fine this time. Let's see. If there are errors, we will just troubleshoot, bro. What's the big deal? These are just errors. Okay, now we have dim geography key is not accessible because location does not exist. Really? Did we just make any typo in dim geography? I think so. Dim geography. Or did we even create dim geography? Dim geography we didn't even create, bro. Let's run this. We simply tested the select statement. So simply create this. Yep, now we can just query this. It's not accessible because it does not exist. Where it is writing the table? Where it is saying that it does not exist. Oh yeah, it is not coming here. Why? Let's see. Location is dim geography. Okay, this is dim geography. This is create external table is dim. Did we delete it? Maybe not. Yeah, it can happen. Maybe we didn't delete it. So table is there, but yeah, it will not create it because it is saying if not exist. So these are small things that you need to know. Okay, now I should see first. Yeah, now it is there. Perfect. Let's run this and let's see if we have anything. It is fetching results. So now I should see just 9 records. Very well done. We just have 9 records. Finally, we did it. Well done, Ansh and my lovely data fam. We have troubleshooted the biggest bug in the world of data engineering. Jokes apart, you should be just you should be familiar with these kinds of bugs, and you should be familiar like how you can just troubleshoot these keys errors, because when you will be building this fact table, only then you will see, hey, your dimension was wrong. Hey, there were like duplicates in your dimension. Hey, this was wrong. So this is really crucial. And at that time, if you do not know how to troubleshoot this, you will be in bad situation. Okay, so just be familiar with these errors. I feel happy that these errors came in this video, and you are now aware like how you need to troubleshoot, how you need to actually approach towards a solution. Because in the interview questions as well, this can be asked from you. Hey, you are just building a dimensional data model and you are seeing like duplicates in your fact table, and you are just seeing more records than expected. What you should do and what should be the potential problem areas, then you should know. Then you can say there would be some duplicates in the dimension tables, and we can just go there and just troubleshoot it, and we can simply have a look like what's wrong. So you should know like how to approach. So I think I feel happy that I just saw these errors, and now we are all good to create our fact table. So let me just grab that beautiful statement if not exist, and let me just paste it here, or we can simply write it. It's just a small statement, and we'll simply say create external table. Okay, and this is gold dot fact table. I will just name it as fact table, create external table, and then as. Okay, and before that we simply need to say with, because we are creating an external table. And whenever we want to create an external table, we first of all need to define the schema. In this case, we do not have schema. Then we simply define with clause, and then we just put location. Same steps are required here as well. I'll simply say fact table, or let's say orders fact, or fact orders. Okay, then data source is gold source. Okay, then file format is bucket. Very good. And now we need to run this only and only if table doesn't exist. So we'll simply say if not exists, and this is a simple query. Select asterisk from sys dot tables t join sys dot schemas s on t dot schema id equals s dot schema id, and then where t dot name equals fact table. Yes, and I think I should just change the name. It should be fact orders. So I'll simply say fact orders. Very good. And then s dot name equals gold. Makes sense? Let's finally create our fact table and let's have some fun. Yo, let's save this query. Okay, let's save it, publish it, and let's try to query our final fact table. Ooh, after so much of hard work, I will simply say select asterisk from gold dot fact orders. Very good. Oh, bro, very well done. Simply publish all, and let me just show you what will happen now, like how you will just serve this data, because this is really important for you. You need to understand this as well. So basically, now what will happen? This is your data. Okay, just go here. This is your data warehouse. Just click on this and let me just refresh. These are basically the gold layer tables that you will be providing to the data analyst team, to data science team, or let's say business managers, anyone. So you have populated everything from scratch. You have taken your data incrementally, processed it, silver tables, and then finally the gold tables in the form of facts and dimensions, right? Now it's time to actually hand over this data warehouse to the people so that they can use it. How you can just do that? Basically, you have two options. Either you can simply go to manage, okay, and then you can simply go to built-in and then click on properties. So this is basically the configuration and everything that you can just use while just telling them like what is the string, what is the workspace name, what is blah blah blah. But just trust me, you simply need one thing. Just go to your resource group, go to home, click on resource group, and just go to your, so this is the resource group, yeah, Azure Data Warehouse. Perfect. So just click on your Synapse workspace account, and before launching it, you will see something, serverless SQL endpoint. As you have created a serverless SQL data warehouse, simply provide this particular data warehouse to, let's say, anyone, and they can easily see this data. Easily. And if you even do not trust me, let me show you. I have one SSMS application like SQL Server Management Studio. I think it is not installed on this machine. Okay. So you can even try it on your machine as well if you have SSMS installed or any application which handles the SQL. So you can simply paste this URL and then you will be able to actually log in. And whatever users will be using that particular data warehouse, they'll be using this. So this is all about Azure data warehousing from scratch. And I tried my best to make you understand the things, how we work. Obviously, now you have the understanding, now you have the fundamentals, now you can actually build the data warehouses. Because this understanding was required to actually kickstart your things. Now you can have a look when you will be placed as an Azure data engineer. You will be seeing that, okay, we need to just build tables using Openrowset. Okay, we need to just build tables using external tables. Okay, we need to use some data flows. Okay, now you'll be understanding what's going on. And now you know how to answer those Azure data warehousing questions. Because now I have shown you how you can create your Azure data warehouse like this. Using all the things, Openrowset Function, external tables, Parquet, everything, data flows, everything. Now you can answer any question in the interview. Now I have one more thing that I want to discuss. What's that? Basically, we have different types of dimensions, and the very popular type is slowly changing dimension. Now let me just tell you what's that. So basically, what are slowly changing dimensions? So fact table and dimension table is fine. Now in the real world, we have one more thing which is slowly changing dimensions, and it is very popular. Again, slowly changing dimensions we do tackle, but we try to just work with slowly changing dimensions using Spark or using data flows. Okay, so this is something that you can actually learn by just doing a project. Make sense? And I have made a dedicated video on this project as well, where I have just created a slowly changing dimension type 1 using Databricks, or basically using Spark, that you can also watch. And I can just show you what video is that. So just let's go to YouTube and let's search Ansh Lamba and just watch maybe wait, click on videos and just watch this video. Yeah, this is the one in which I have actually told you how you can just create a slowly changing dimension. By the way, this is like something that you would be requiring after like some experience while building the things. Okay, but first you need to try to understand what is slowly changing dimension. So let me just tell you what's that. So basically, concept is very simple. Just try to understand. Let's say you have a products dimension. Okay, makes sense. Now we have 4 different types of slowly changing dimension: type 0, type 1, type 2, type 3. By the way, we have type till 6, like we have till type 6 as well, but these are the popular ones. Type 0 is like when we do not make any changes. That means we are assuming our dimension will not be changing with the time. So this is called type 0. This is simple. And this is the type that we have currently worked on. Then we have something called as type 1. it is commonly called as upsert. Upsert means update plus insert. Okay, it simply says, let's say this is your product dimension, okay, and this was the name called com, and the product category was clothing. But after some time, let's say after a few months, your company decided that you will be putting this particular com in a different category. They have launched a different category. So in this, we simply update the values. Simply update the values. Do not need to worry anything. Just simply update the values. And if we have, let's say, more values, let's say 4, and we have, let's say, Maggie. So product category will be, let's say, food. And this is a new category that your organization has launched. So simply you will insert it. This and this. See, so you will simply update or insert. That's called upsert. This is the concept behind type 1. Do not make it complex. It is very easy. Okay. Now let's talk about type 2. This is very useful. And by the way, in 60% of your solutions, you will be using type 1. In 30% of your solutions, you will be using type 2. Let's talk about it now. In type 2, the best advantage is we can actually store the history as well. So this can be your interview question, like which type you should use if you just want to keep the history. So here what we do, we simply create basically 3 extra columns: effective start date, effective end date, and a flag which says either this value is in use or not. So let's say your com value was changed, right? So what you will do, we will simply provide the effective start date. Makes sense? Like when this table was created. Expiry date will be much in future. Let's say 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Okay. That means this value is not expired yet. So expiry date is like much ahead from now. And if this value is in use, yes. Now, if this value is changed, that means this value is expired, right? So in the new table, you will see that com clothing value expired on 2nd of Jan 2024. And this value is not in use. And the hair value is the new value. Start date is 2nd of Jan. And then expiry date again is 3,000. So this way you can actually go back and see what were the values there in the table. So again, this particular type will be used in, let's say, at least 30% of the solution. But yeah, 60% of the solution will be using just type 1 because it is very easy to maintain and very easy to work with. Everything is fine. Now, in 10% of the solution, we use type 3, in which we just need to worry about the previous value. That's it. So let's say this is our first table. We will create another column in which we will simply say what was the previous value of this particular type. Let's say product category. Makes sense? So this one says the com value, like com name, and product category is clothing. What is the previous value? Previous value is clothing. Previous value is what? Clothing. Because there was no previous value till like so far. But then we created a new category, and this time you will see previous value is clothing, which is different from your current value. This is your type 3. So you should know about these slowly changing dimensions as well. And obviously this is something that you learn when you actually start building the solutions. But in the interviews, this is really important that you should know the concepts. You should know the design. This is really important. Implementation is different in every organization, trust me. You cannot expect the same code for like slowly changing dimension. And if we just want to create the slowly changing dimension, we have to write the code. So in every organization, the approach will be different, but fundamentals will be the same. Design will be the same. So you should know this. Okay. So this was all about your Azure data warehousing from scratch, from zero. And I know that you have learned a lot. So simply drop a lovely comment in the comment section. And I know I have just pasted a very useful video for you on the screen after researching a lot. So just click on it because this video is for you, and I will see you there.